Greetings, fellow Toriyama fans. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
To pay tribute to the master of manga, Akira Toriyama, and celebrate 40 years of Dragon Ball proper, we're going through the animated saga that is Dragon Ball Z to get back in touch with our anime roots as we begin our journey into Dragon Ball Z.
Previously on Journey into Dragon Ball, after beating Piccolo Jr. and winning a world martial arts tournament, Goku settled into a peaceful life with his new wife, Chi Chi. 5 years have passed. Goku and his son Gohan are about to visit with some old friends. Unbeknownst to our heroes, a mysterious warrior from outer space is about to upend everything we once knew. Now, Goku finds himself battling a brand new threat in the Saiyan Saga.
So, we're finally talking Dragon Ball Z.
Yep, we're finally here.
Yeah. Yeah, so my nostalgia for the Saiyan Saga, I guess just in general Dragon Ball Z, but the Saiyan Saga was, so I was always the stubborn. I always stubbornly denied Dragon Ball Z because of my pursuit, my fandom of the original Dragon Ball. Like it was like, see, back in the day, kids, I was kind of between Batman the Animated Series and Dragon Ball to an extent, in which Batman the Animated Series wasn't readily, like, they couldn't get the season sets of it, like the full, like, complete series. That was like in '06, so there was a time between kind of finding Batman and that, where I kind of had to find something that tied me over besides watching the same tape of like the first 8 episodes and the Phantasm and Sub Zero over and over again. And of course, it's what I can remember from watching like when it would air. So I'm saying there's definitely a gap, and like there was like a complete blind spot with like the new Batman adventures, all that kind of stuff. So I had Dragon Ball, loved it, and there was like always like I kind of we went through this already with the first the first 7 sagas of the period where over time, I just kind of like I watched it on TV. I would tape it on VHS, and I found like the Saturday matinee video store, my the mall in my neck of the woods, and that's kind of how I was able to kind of find basically the tapes I didn't have, but alongside those tapes. You had a lot of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was always easy to find because that was what's in vogue. And again, per what Jacob's kind of like said beforehand, which is it's pretty sure it's fully accurate, is that while Dragon Ball, was produced then Dragon Ball Z in terms of like overseas, in terms of like the Japanese airing and everything, and stateside we had Dragon Ball Z because it became so insanely popular, dubbed first, and then we had Dragon Ball. So that's the point. Dragon Ball Z was a very known quantity in America before kind of Dragon Ball even really kind of like retroactively gave us answers to like how the heck where do these characters hail from. So because of that, it was always like around like I would go to like KB Toys, kids, way back when there was a KB Toys, not Toys R Us, KB Toys in the same mall, by the way, which was a very fun trip.
Oh yeah.
Um, basically, I would look for. I remember like on the VHS, they would have like the advertisement for the Dragon Ball toys, which looked awesome. I could never find them because it was nothing but Dragon Ball Z, so I had to settle for Dragon Ball Z. And so, point being, whether I liked it or not, Dragon Ball Z kind of seeped in. In the way I would consume Dragon Ball, and occasionally some things would find its way, like the Pioneer dub of Dragon Ball Z, like the original. Basically, that was like the first stab at the dub before Funimation fully kind of took over. Anyway, so point being, Dragon Ball Z always seemed so radically different to me. I was it was all fighting. There was no misadventure kind of structure to it that we kind of had like the build up to, like the tournaments being like the big kind of fighting segments that we had with Dragon Ball. There was no Kid Goku, which I mean, just being a kid when I got in the Dragon Ball, that was like the big disconnect. I don't want these adults. I want to see what Kid Goku's up to. And again, this is before. So in going through like all the different ways in which I kind of experienced, the different arcs and seasons of Dragon Ball, I always missed out. I missed out on the anime of the last season. I had the manga for that, but retroactively. So I basically went from like the Demon King Piccolo saga to then Dragon Ball Z. And there's always that blind spot. So I had no idea about kind of the whole, the Piccolo Junior backstory until I retroactively kind of like had my big discovery, which, oh my god, it's essentially like a Batman Beyond thing. That was my big epiphany. That was like the mind blowing realization that with the Saiyan saga, that okay, it's Kid Goku grown up, which again now like I now factor in thanks to that missing, thanks to the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. Oh, so he does grow up in Dragon Ball, and that's what gets us to Dragon Ball Z. So it's not just randomly being dropped into a reimagining of the show. That was like the missing piece for me as a kid, which is so it's kind of one of those like in hindsight's 2020 kids. Like it would have been so much simpler if I just had it all readily available to me, but I don't know. It's a heck of a ride, I'll tell you that much. But even jumping into the Saiyan saga kind of blind, which kind of I did, like just kind of plopped into it after like having a familiar with Dragon Ball, and you jump into Dragon Ball Z. It it's sorry, it's basically it's a great. I think it's still such a solid beginning to it all. It is like like the first episode starts with a bang. With the whole Raditz of it all, which we'll get into. But it's just there's something kind of overall at the same time. There's something great and simple with the story that has surprises, it has twists. Honestly, of all the seasons, all the sagas of Dragon Ball Z that we're gonna get into, and again, we'll re-experience and we'll see if this might change. But I gotta be honest, the simplicity and just the very direct plot, because it really does feel like the closest thing we have. It feels like the perfect bridging mechanism between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, because it is, I guess, transition point, because the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament is the actual bridging point. But you see what I'm getting at? Is that it feels most in tune with what Dragon Ball was, but it's like the gradual progression to, okay, here's what the new status quo is. We're taking what we saw at the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, and we're really expanding upon it, and then turning it into this other thing. And it's like it's easy, you're eased into it, and it is just it was some we had. I don't know. It was just I just feel it was just the right story that raised the stakes of what we had seen in Dragon Ball, but magnified it times 10. We have the iconic first Goku Vegeta battle. It's got a strong A and B kind of story structure going with it between Goku and Gohan. It's I just have like a great appreciation for the humble beginnings of Dragon Ball Z. Uh, you know, even even that far in the beginning, and like the build up and the satisfying payoff of it all. It just felt like a very well constructed story. That it's like, had we never had a continuation past, uh, you know, the Saiyan saga. I mean, obviously we have the hanging Chad, kind of the Back to the Future 2 of it all. Like, how do we get Doc Brown back, kind of a thing. How do we get Marty back, and how do we, where's Doc, kind of a thing. We kind of, barring that, it did feel like, okay, we went on a heck of a journey. There was you're really stuck with it. It feels like, wow, I want a resolution, but this feels like this is a really satisfying way to tell the story. It just felt like, had if we had almost like a mini movie to wrap things up, it feels like we would have had a very concrete ending to where Dragon Ball goes. And we'll get to this next saga. You kind of have that to a degree. You could have ended at a certain point.
Yeah, from what I understand, yes.
Yeah.
So before I give my thoughts, I have addressed some of the comments we have. Like, Dragon Ball Z is the Dragon Ball series that I know the best, as do most people, and my favorite DB series. Again, like with most people.
Yeah.
But so for me, I'm actually for once encroaching on familiar territory. As you know, Dragon. As I've mentioned on prior streams here, I did actually watch the Kai version of Dragon Ball Z a while ago, and made it through majority of the series when it was available. And one of those was, in fact, the Saiyan Saga. So I was familiar with some of the beats that happened. Plus, I'm also familiar with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. obviously, that's very different. But so going through this and seeing some of the familiar scenes in that was kind of an interesting experience. Dragon, I don't know how familiar you are with Abridged.
I mean, look, I'm familiar with the bridge. I didn't really watch through it, but I mean, I know what the gag is, so you know.
I think it's funny.
No, look, it's funny. It's just it's kind of another thing where I kind of I didn't really have an appreciation for a bridge, which I think I might have more of now. You know.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like if you go into it and not take what it says as gospel or canon, then I think you're good to go.
Yeah.
Because I know some people that like definitely that kind of like take the portrayal of those characters in that series and then like kind of apply it to what Toriyama wrote.
Yeah.
Say
Not
which is
really the way to do that.
yeah, no. So if you take it in like knowing like this is even despite the intro even saying this is a parody.
And there's kind of like comedy recaps of Dragon Ball. It's really with Dragon Ball Z. It's really what all that is.
Pretty much. But but my point is, so I am I am kind of veering into familiar territory for once here.
Yeah.
So, and of course, and of course, I was exposed to Dragon Ball Z first before I was Dragon Ball, because like the Toonami days. Everybody remembers
Yep.
the good old days of Toonami. I
Right.
think Toonami in some extent is still around, but
No, it is. It's still around. You know, they like a rebrand. It's back. So.
it's not the same.
No, I mean it's pretty. I mean they're kind of capturing the magic. It's only on Saturdays, but it's still there.
I know, but you had to be there like Tom.
No, Tom's back.
Oh, Tom's back.
Yeah. It's Steve Blum. It's Tom.
They killed him. They killed him off for a while.
Well, remember it's the other. You know, it's like the other Tom, but it's still Tom.
Well, I think you just had to be there back when, like in the mid 2000s, Toonami was the bomb.
Yeah.
So, I think if I remember correctly, like the first thing I think I might have been exposed to was either the Android Saga or the Cell Saga. So it wasn't until many years later, probably even after watching the abridged version, where I actually got into it proper with Kai. And I guess that's not why you're here. Why you're here is to see my opinion on this, right, Dragon?
Well, yeah.
Like, and I gotta say this is kind of an interesting jumping off point. Like, kind of an interesting starting up. I kind of agree with Dragon's consensus that if this were the final arc of Dragon Ball, this would be quite an interesting way to go.
Yep.
There's like a lot of major revelations and very climactic fights.
Yeah. Also, I want to apologize. I think I was kind of worried this might happen. I think I did kind of recycle a little bit of what I said about the World 20 the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. In that, because there's a lot of similarities in terms of like that gets us to the Saiyan saga. So there's a lot of like it does bridge us into this territory, but again, the story structure is just so there's a lot of added layers to Dragon Ball retroactively thanks to this arc. So because of that, it does feel very tied into what Dragon Ball was. And I think, there's a lot of kind of Toriyama storytelling that he applied to Dragon Ball that really transfers here. Like Toriyama knows that if I don't really nail it with the Saiyan saga, people aren't going to show up for the other stuff where this could go,
I mean, because think about it, like the original manga just carried on like week to week. Like
yeah,
1 week it's like 1 week is like the ending of the tournament. Then literally the next week in the manga, or maybe not next week, but next time in them. I don't know if it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. I'm guessing it's weekly, considering how many chapters there are. But you get the idea. Next one chapter is the end of the tournament. Literally, the next chapter is 5 years later with a guy from space.
Yeah.
So Toriyama really just kind of like threw a curveball with that one.
And you really feel like you threw the kitchen sink into this one. Like, okay, I'm going to put everything I can into this story, and hopefully it'll land. And if it lands, I can go to space with it.
Because this is because a lot of this is almost essentially a recon, not a recon, but a retcon of the entire story.
Yeah, and yet it works, though. That's what's really impressive about it, because it could have I could easily see, and again, this is what I'm saying, the stubborn fan in me, I mean, I'm sure, like, again, had I not had that weird exposure I had to it the way I did, I mean, I don't know, maybe it would have turned me off to it or not. And I have a great example, but I don't want to spell that in case people haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho has a similar kind of retconny reveal. And I don't think it plays. I don't think it works. And I think Dragon Ball the Dragon Ball Z played a lot better because I don't think it underwrites necessarily what the specialness of what Goku was able to accomplish, because everything that he learned through the show still helped him get where he was in spite of what we learned about him. So it's still, it still works.
The question is, though, is the big reveal, you don't have to say what it is, but is the big reveal in Yu Yu Hakusho canon to the manga, or is it something the anime made up?
I believe is I think it's in the manga. I'm pretty sure it's in the manga. There's like I'm not getting into there is a thing that happens after this reveal that is a big change between the anime and the manga. And it's not a bad thing. It's just basically the anime. There's like a tournament, and because the author he's known for like having really bad back trouble and everything, so basically he kind of shorthanded the manga because he just couldn't. The poor guy just couldn't draw it. So basically, Yusuke gets knocked out. He wakes up. Tournament's over. We find out what happened. That's the manga. Anime, we see what happened.
I mean, I can kind of see where it comes from, where it's coming from on that.
That's not the retcon. That thing happens after the retcon, but it's.
I believe that, but you don't have to go into the detail on that.
Anyway,
fun fact: that guy also, the creator of that, also created Hunter x Hunter, and is married to the creator of Sailor Moon.
That is correct.
Which is adorable.
Oh yeah.
but yeah. So finishing my point, like I got to say, this is a good starting off point for the series, and we'll only see how it goes from here.
Yeah. Now, I guess a disclaimer before we really just get into the conversation here and kind of break it all down. And folks, you're going to pull out a folding chair, so it's going to be a while.
Yep.
Okay, this is a big one. We got to really cover the heck out of this one. So yeah, there are a lot of infamously. Dragon Ball Z has Dragon Ball Z specifically across all the sagas and everything, especially the Saiyan saga. There's the home video releases have never been quite good with or definitive. They've never been quite like it. There's never been like a definitive or good home release of Dragon Ball Z, and I know because I've looked extensively and I've done the research, I've heard the horror stories. It was tough, folks. It's pretty rough. Because there are a number of releases over the years, and essentially they kind of kept releasing like the flawed product. I haven't really seen it firsthand since I have it, but I wasn't able to dig it up. I kind of watched it through other means that basically were recommended means, like apparently, so the orange bricks are infamously basically that's the most easily available way of getting the series. So it's basically like an orange box set that has like each saga. It's like I want to say it's like 9 DVD sets that have like or Blu-ray sets or DVD, however you want to get it. They're basically released. Actually, I think it's just DVD, frankly, and they've repackaged the Blu-ray over the years. But that's the thing; it's always the orange bricks that keep getting repackaged, and the orange bricks have like a few issues with them. A reviewer on YouTube named Totally Not Mark, who was like he is the go-to Dragon Ball review aficionado. This guy's he's top tier. We have no. We're nowhere near as cool as that guy. Let me promise you that. Plus, he's got an Irish accent. He's so cool. Anyway.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few of his videos.
Did you watch the thing about the home releases, or did I not send that to you?
I know I didn't watch it, but I don't know if you sent it or not.
Yeah. Well, the point being, folks, there's a video that I'm just going to cliff notes it. He covers it in great detail. He was a big source of research. I've checked other means to double check. The point being, Orange Bricks infamously, it's like this thing where they go really widescreen, where they're cutting a lot of important stuff that, like Goku, the bottom part of Goku's mouth might be out of frame, that kind of stuff. They like the contrast is really up, so like it's super bright, and they messed with like the film grain on the cell animation, which basically the point being, there's a lot of like weird inconsistencies that I will warn you, once you watch this video, it'll be pointed out to you, and then you'll be like, I don't think you're ever going to be able to enjoy the orange bricks fully again. So be forewarned about that. However, all that kind of having to do with the aspect ratio. It's like 16 by it's like 4:3, essentially, like kind of like the way you're seeing the image right now, like the full screen, like the way it looked like when it was on TV, like 4:3. That's the way to watch it. When they do the widescreen, like the 16:9, that's when you hit tricky stuff. That's when that's when you have your compromises there. And that's the thing. When they went back and Funimation dubbed it and did everything, they did the widescreen. Over the years, there's only been one fix, and that's essentially what I watch and what I think Jacob watched, possibly. I'm not sure. Was like something they call the level sets. The level sets is like the only existing, like they went back, Funimation went back and they did everything right actually with this release. The level sets actually have it right. They have a bit of the Japanese kind of original score. You have the basically the classic dub is there. It's like everything is the way it's supposed to be on the level sets, which essentially is the recommended way of watching Saiyan Saga, which is what I did. It's the uncut version, so everything's in there. So yeah, that's pretty much how we did. Not the Pioneer cut, none of this other stuff, none of the weird voices. Pretty much Funimation. I want to say that's what they used on Crunchyroll, but I don't know.
Yeah, the Crunchyroll one is obviously the one I've been watching.
Yeah. So again, I can't. So again, presumably that's the level set. I can't say firsthand, but with the point being, Jake and I, if we have watched different versions, there are commonalities, so I think we're going to be okay. Just be forewarned, folks. There's a lot of versions of. There are a few versions of the Saiyan Saga out there. A lot of them low quality, some of them not so low quality. And that's kind of what the world of Dragon Ball is.
And speaking of kind of low quality, before we get into another one, this is kind of a more funny one.
Okay.
It's like I found the instances of other foreign English dubs.
Yes, you did.
Like what? Like the Malaysian dub in particular wasn't definitely something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. There globally there are some bad dub attempts.
Like the thing is, they're foreign English dubs. That's the strange thing. They're like English dubs made in other countries, not just like foreign. That's not like English. Like they're not dubbed in the United States for other territories. Like speaking of which, you know how this is kind of a tangent on top of a tangent. But you remember how we had that like little confusion about the woman I met, that was at the convention I came to that voiced Chi-Chi?
Yeah.
As it turns out, she does voice Chi-Chi, but in the Bang Zoom dub.
Well, there you go.
Like the Bang Zoom dub that airs in other English dub that airs in other countries.
Yeah.
So, but my point was like the dub I showed Dragon. It made Vegeta sound like Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
It was just it's very bizarre. I think it's called like I forget the name of the dub, but seriously, check it out. It's kind of like a so bad it's still bad, but in a funny kind of way.
Okay, so at risk of just going super deep cuts with all the dub talk and everything, just the bullet pointed here again, just folks. The big takeaway from what we're saying here is be careful. Yeah. The big takeaway is just if you're gonna buy like a collection of the Dragon Ball Z series, even from Amazon, even on Amazon, because Amazon also sometimes they get bootlegs. There's a whole thing. Just point being, be careful when you buy like the complete collection of Dragon Ball Z and just do the research. Right now, it doesn't seem like they have like Dragon Ball. You're gonna be pretty much fine. Like Dragon Ball, even if you get like somehow get a bootleg, it's so long as the disc plays, you're gonna be fine. I don't mean like actively seek a boot. I'm saying sometimes Amazon they kind of get that in. It's kind of a crapshoot, but at least the Dragon Ball ones play and the aspect ratio is fine. The dub, so everything's fine. That's the only way to get it. So you're all good.
All right.
Dragon Ball Z is a whole ball of wax. Just you just gotta be careful when you get it. It's so far they've not really done like a proper like a release where they fixed everything. So unless you just want the Dragon Box, but you're gonna lose like the kind of the cool rock and roll kind of like musical score if you do that one. So those are like the only ways to really get it. Beyond that, the Pioneer dub is what I was introduced to, so it was always like a refreshing when eventually the Funimation stuff came. It's like, why does everything sound so much better? And you find out, so it was Funimation dubbed it, and Pioneer just had kind of like it was the first introduction to like grown up Goku and everything. It made it all the more like kind of foreign and odd when you go back to you try combining that with Dragon Ball. It's like, well, this doesn't quite sound like it connects, but Funimation dub's flawless.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, all the dub talk aside, all the dub step, if you were, we're just going to move past that. We're going to break down the series starting now. So let's talk about our setting. So it's been 5 years since the epilogue on Dragon Ball, which is what we last talked about. Goku he's in the mountains with his family, so it's kind of nice that we have a full circle thing with Goku here, where he's kind of like where we saw him at the start of Dragon Ball in the first place, just him kind of living roughly in the same location, only now he's got a family.
Yep, he has a wife and son.
Yep, we have like the slice of life adventures of like him saving Gohan for a bit there, and he's about to take him for a visit to Master Roshi and company at the Kame House. Now, a few things to mention. So Gohan. So Gohan, voiced by Stephanie, at least the base of the main versions that we're talking about here, Stephanie Madolny, who was the voice of Kid Goku.
I think what happened was like if we mentioned they dubbed Dragon Ball Z first,
Yeah, that's right.
and so they brought Stephanie Dondolny to do Kid Goku after she did Gohan.
Which was a brilliant idea. It's so weird because I always think of it in reverse. Because again, that was just my exposure to it. But you're right though. That would make the most sense. Well, he did. She did such a great job as Gohan's. Clearly, we would kind of have the generational connect. We would have the same voice doing Kid Goku. But
And I think other dubs do that as well. Like they have the same person who voiced Gohan voice Kid Goku.
well, even in Kakarot, which sadly is not in the Dolny, which that was a bummer with that game. That's the only gripe I really have with that game is that we didn't get Nadolny back to voice, the brief thing of Kid Goku and Kid Gohan throughout that game.
So Gohan is not voiced by Nadolny either.
Sadly, no.
But at least they were able to get her back for Daima.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Daima yet, and say what you will about it, but at least they got her back for that.
Well, yeah, that's what's important.
And going back to this though, like it is kind of heartwarming that Goku named his son after Gohan.
It really is beautiful, and there's an episode later in DBZ that kind of shows that process, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, but you're right though. It was a very hard. And plus, that we give him the hat. We give him the hat, which is kind of a symbol of like kind of the pampered kind of lifestyle that Gohan initially had. He has the cute little outfit and like the little hat with the 4-star ball on it. So again, it's kind of Goku, kind of in the Grandpa Gohan parental role, who is gifting his son like the Dragon Ball with the 4 stars, like the symbol of his grandpa. It's very nice, very cyclical.
And we see that Chi has become a bit of a stage mom.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, she's come on. She does love the boy though, and she's not just trying to coast off his success. So stage moms.
I know, but there's no really other good term for it.
Yeah, well, she's overprotective. She's a very
not very overprotective, extremely overprotective.
Let's face it, she is the overprotective mom.
I mean, in some cases she has points. I mean, she has some point, but we'll get.
Well, she has a defensible position in the Saiyan saga. It gets a little dicey at the very end, but we'll get there. But she's a very defensible position, in that her kid essentially gets kidnapped multiple times and almost killed. So
yeah, it's kind of like a recurring thing at this point.
That's true.
Well, it will become a recurring thing.
Okay, so we have the reunion at Kame House. Now this is really cute, and it gets everyone up. So again, the main thing I want to highlight throughout the Saiyan saga here is again our storytelling. I think is probably at some of its most on point that it is throughout the whole series, where we really we're getting everyone prepared for like if people go into this without knowing anything about Dragon Ball, they're going to be okay. Which again is kind of how this show was kind of designed for the American marketplace to an extent,
And there's like more design. Like, why did they start a new series? Because they can make more money off of rebranding it.
Well, true, but that's the thing, though. Like, we're gonna dub the more popular one first, and it's like, okay, so in a sense, it kind of plays, if you haven't seen Dragon Ball, but having seen Dragon Ball makes everything even better, though.
All right.
Well, not just because of the fact it's a great show, but also because again, everything feeds into each other. Kid Goku grows up, so. Point being, it's really cute. It's this little like reunion they have on the island, and it kind of gets everyone up to speed. It introduces Gohan in a nice way. We establish, okay, so it's the same voice as Kid Goku, but Goku's opposite in every way. He's shy, he's scholarly. He's not really a fighter, but he's got the tail, which freaks everybody out because they know.
And they still haven't told Goku.
Which again, just for the sake of our storytelling here, again, Toriyama, the mad genius that he was, God rest his soul. Again, I know flying by the seat of his pants, very true, but still, just the fact that he's, he's taking like taking each arc, not knowing where the heck he's going to go from there. Knowing we're going to make light of the tail, but the tail will come back and serve a big role in our story at every turn.
Yep, especially by connecting it to the new antagonists.
Yep, but that also too is again we kind of a lighthearted thing about Goku's past about formerly having a tail, and then we have a really dramatic point that we make during the big fight. So again, it's kind of a full circle, kind of like gag to dramatic payoff.
Yep.
So again, basically, Jay, the best way to sum this up, and as well as the tail thing, is it's basically we use every part of the buffalo in this arc, and I love it.
It is kind of amazing that Toriyama meticulously remembers certain details but completely forgets others.
I want to. That's a thing, Jacob. I really think that I think his memory's kind of at its best here, and then afterwards, that's when we get into the who's launch.
And to be fair, the launch stuff here is entirely filler exclusive to the anime.
That's a fair point. That's a good point. Never mind. I withdraw the launch point.
To be fair, she was basically already gone by after the tournament. Like after the tournament, was like, yeah, she's gone.
Good point.
And then like he straight up forgot she existed after that point.
Then the anime forgot she existed after this one.
Yeah, to be fair, okay, I can't even really be fair because considering there's 293 freaking episodes of this thing.
Yeah.
They could have like squeezed her in somewhere.
Yeah.
But no.
No. There's a lot going on.
But what happened, Toei?
Yeah. Well, it's the thing that honestly, it's because everyone became bulletproof. What's launch going to do is scare people.
Well, there's still the humans.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Aside from really terrorizing, Mr. Satan, I mean, what are you going to...
I mean, you can still use her in other ways, I guess.
I don't know. That's the thing. I think we saw here there's very little we can do with her. I think they realized that.
Probably. You're probably right.
Especially if Tien has a reduced role. That's kind of the main thing. Well, Tien doesn't really do much after this, so...
Oh, yeah, for multiple reasons.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, the point being, I still love we use every part of the buffalo in terms of like setup and payoff, and like we're getting the whole cyclical nature between this and Dragon Ball, and it's great. So we have Kame House. Again, Kame House is a set location. Is like the biggest connect that we have to Dragon Ball, to Dragon Ball Z. So this is the symbol that this whole meeting, this whole reunion is like a really ingenious way in the storytelling to ease us into what Dragon Ball Z becomes, because literally the big element of Dragon Ball Z collides into our old setting from Dragon Ball, and I think that's great. Just in our story construction, we have like 3 acts. Honestly, the Saiyan Saga kind of breaks down the 3 acts very clear cut. 3 acts go, basically the reintroduction and Raditz. That's all. That's Act 1, which essentially is what I had on like that Pioneer cut DVD. It was just the whole Raditz kind of group of episodes. That's Act 1.
Which in Kai is like over in like 1 or 2 episodes.
Pretty much. I mean, basically, I think the Raditz thing, if you include like kind of the epilogue, which is the King Yemma stuff, is probably like, I don't know, maybe like 5 episodes. I forget what the math ended up being on that, but essentially it's like 3 to 5 episodes probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I think there's like an episode of like we have like the whole Goku and Gohan just kind of like kind of going around the mountains for like an episode. So we padded it out to be 5 episodes. So point being, that's Act 1. Act 2 is basically our training and basically the main the Vegeta and Nappa versus Goku's friends. Then Act 3, Goku versus Vegeta. So pretty clear cut 3 acts.
Yep.
Okay, so Raditz. We got to talk about Raditz. So much here. So one, Raditz. As a kid, I had the action figure of Raditz. That's what I'm saying. I had because of that Pioneer cut DVD I got by mistake, because my parents loved me and they thought it was Dragon Ball. Again, the parents could never quite get the distinction between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, but ultimately it all worked out, so it's fine. The point being, Raditz did have a really cool look. The idea of, kind of like this evil version of Goku that was his brother, and had all this,
Yeah. Keep in mind, like people just like reading the manga from like week to week, as I mentioned earlier. Like 1 week is the end of the tournament. Next week, boom, Goku's an alien.
God, so I love this. I still to this day I love the Saiyan armor design, and the Raditz had one of the coolest armor designs.
Yep.
So also he's really fun to draw too.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially for like keep in mind the reason why a lot of the battles take place out in open areas because Toriyama doesn't like drawing buildings.
Yeah.
And but basically he's also Toriyama, not only does he fly by the seat of his pants, sometimes he's also lazy.
Yeah, you can always attribute it to okay, he doesn't want casualties. Well, yeah, right. He doesn't want casualties. Yes,
But yeah, that's the yeah, sure.
that is the reason. That is yes.
Yes.
So, um, so in addition to just having a really cool design, Justin Cook is the voice actor on Raditz in the dub.
All right.
And he is so malevolent and cocky, and he's just Goku's opposite. Again, more of like, again, well, again, obviously Gohan's kind of the opposite, more of a lighthearted, just like father differentiating from son. This is like just Goku's like ethical opposite in every way. Just, um, but there's a Justin Cook. He just plays him so evil and so mean. It's like the opposite of like the very lighthearted, very earnest Goku, and I love it. He's just having such a great time. Now, Justin Cook, by the way, you're going to hear his voice a lot because Funimation like to use their own people in a lot of things. But of course, we'll talk about him later in the Boo saga. But amongst other, he pops up in other places too. But that's iconically where we're going to have a lot more of them. But Yu Yu Hakusho, he's Yusuke Urameshi.
Oh no, he's the main guy.
He's the main guy. He's great in that too. It's so funny that again, like I'm used to him as like for these two roles. This is my introduction to him, and then I was like, oh my god, I had no idea that was the same guy for so many years in my childhood until like, oh my god, it is him.
Nice.
But but again, I always loved how he played Raditz here, and then the fact that Raditz is a very important. He's the status. We have our big status quo change delivered by Raditz here. He just shows up and he flies very menacing with the big porcupine hair, the big hedgehog hair.
He's looking for a person named Kakarot.
Yeah, so he shows up at Kame House after a little run with Piccolo, which we'll pick it back up on momentarily. He basically get the Kakarot backstory here. So essentially, Goku has the Superman backstory, which is always like the fun, heady thing about Dragon Ball Z is that there's a lot of Superman built in there.
Yeah, but as I mentioned before, it's entirely a retcon.
Yeah, well,
Kind of.
yes and no. Okay, so here's what we learned. So the backstory is that Goku essentially he landed in a Saiyan. Now here's the big retcon. Okay, that Roshi I guess had heard that Gohan had a grandson because this is like the big Toriyama's either forgot or he just did a retcon for Sword Birds that this might have been I don't know if this was an anime thing though. I can't remember if the manga like had Roshi exposit this or not. The fact that Master Roshi he basically recaps that okay, the reason Goku did not become an evil Saiyan is that he bumped his head and he fell into a ravine and bumped his head and it kind of got all the badness out of him, made him tabula rasa, and made him on the side of angels and good and earnest, humble, all the things that kind of made Goku pure of heart, which took him very far throughout the series of Dragon Ball.
It's like you think Master Roshi might have mentioned, like, oh hey, by the way, Gohan found you in a spaceship.
So honestly, it's less the whole spaceship and everything. It's the fact that Roshi knowing that's more so the retcon. Everything else, but I'm so you're right. In general, though, is the fact that we make Goku retroactively as an alien. It does offer an explanation for how the heck is one human capable of so much of all of this. Well, he's not human.
He's an alien.
And again, he still did learn skills that again he learned them as fast as he could, potentially because of his Saiyan heritage. I mean, that's the thing. It adds like elements of like how could it be so durable? Because he didn't get shot in like episode 1. He lived. So gag manga, but also gag manga and maybe kind of bulletproof. So you're right. It's a retcon, but I view it more as recontextualization than I do retcon.
All right, I can see that.
So because of that, I don't think it takes anything away from what Goku went through. That to me is that's the defining line between retcon and recontextualization. And basically, Raditz is a picture of what Goku would have been had he never bumped his head. Because I have a sense the big kryptonite with Raditz that we see in this arc is that Raditz, he never trained. He was cocky, he never really trained. He basically got experience probably in like the planet conquering, but he just basically learned the bare minimum of like survival, and then he just kind of coasted off of his natural gifts. Never pushed himself, which is why that was his hubris, and why he was easy to defeat. He went off the awesome looking Scouter. By the way, Scouter, such an iconic, cool idea from Dragon Ball Z.
But that's the thing. But that's the neat thing with Raditz. It demonstrates that he's like cocky and, cocky, brash, and obviously full of himself. But it should and untrained. clearly untrained as it, but it shows that even without his formal training, he's still much stronger than everyone else.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. He's conquered a bunch of planets. I mean, he is again. So there's also a lot of kind of retroactively. Well, not sorry, not retroactive. It's looking back on things now with the landscape that we have. Again, Invincible taking some pages from Dragon Ball Z and vice versa. You know.
Yep.
Anyway, so we oh sorry. Basically, so we learn that he gets into a sorry about that. Point he gets into a fight with Raditz, and Raditz, he sorry, I'm a little sidetracked here because I just realized that maybe we should talk. I want to jump forward just a skosh here, okay?
Okay.
So there's a filler episode that gives us the backstory of the Saiyans, and I think we should kind of talk about that because Raditz is making his big pitch to Goku here about what the Saiyans and his true origins, Kakarot, and everything. Where basically we learn. And again, you can take this for face value because it doesn't really take away. I think it kind of adds to the mythology. And I think it kind of works. So I wonder what you thought about it. So we learn the filler backstory of the Saiyans, which is essentially way, way back. There was the planet where the Saiyans came from. It was kind of like before King Vegeta, before we had all that. You had the primitive Saiyans, which were basically brutes, and you had the Tuffles. The Tuffles were kind of the fastidious, and they had like technology. That's where we get like the pods and the scouters from. That's the Tuffles. They had technology on their side. And essentially, Planet Vegeta came about after the Saiyans overthrew the Tuffles and took their technology, and that's how we get like the Saiyan armor look and kind of like basically brutes with technology and kind of like the illusion of superiority, and then eventually
because they couldn't use the technology because they were too stupid.
I mean, pretty much, and that's where Frieza really comes in handy. It seems like the technology was there, and Frieza basically militarized the Saiyans. That's kind of the idea.
Even though that's also a retcon.
Frieza's a whole nother thing. Like Frieza was not really, if my memory serves, Frieza wasn't really conceived during the Saiyan saga yet.
Yeah, when Toriyama was like basically trying to come up with an explanation here, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what if somebody was in charge of the Saiyans?"
Yeah, so here basically all we know, and again, this kind of works to a degree still. I mean, even retroactive, what we do is that like he gives the line that a meteor wiped out planet Vegeta, which has left only 4 Saiyans, which Goku is one of the 4 Saiyans.
Which in this arc is attributed to a comet.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So of course, retroactively we find out, it wasn't quite clear cut a meteor, but that was kind of the cover story, or I guess the broad assumption that our 4 Saiyans do not know the true origin of. So that kind of still works. I mean, they're just going off of like the years don't line up. That's where the retcon comes in. It's like, okay, the years don't really add up on that. But anywho,
yeah. So where were we?
Okay, anyway, so Raditz kidnaps Gohan. He demands that Goku kill. He wants 100 dead humans piled up on Kame House, or else 100 dead humans, or else he's either going to do something terrible to the boy, or he's going to wreak havoc on the planet beyond that. The point being is just he wants 100 dead humans by the end of by tomorrow.
He's basically establishing himself as not so pleasant of a guy early on.
Yeah.
So obviously none of Kame House, and Goku doesn't want to take any part of that.
Yeah.
So he actually instead of doing that, finds an unlikely alliance.
Demon King Piccolo Jr.
Yes, exactly. Piccolo Jr. We should probably talk about him earlier. How it was actually through Piccolo where we actually first saw how powerful Raditz truly is.
Yeah, of course, thanks to, again, when you factor in Dragon Ball and, the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, which, again, that Kakarot game, you get that DLC, man, it blends it very well.
He even has giant Piccolo.
Yep, you have Giant. You get to fight Giant Piccolo too, and it's awesome. Which again, in hindsight, when you factor all that in, again, Goku has experience fighting giant foes.
Yep.
Not his first rodeo.
And yet.
Yeah. So so point being, we have like in Piccolo, like a very known force, and there's Raditz pretty much intimidates Piccolo of all people. Like Piccolo's like, oh, what the it's like this is he hasn't seen Goku probably for 5 years, so this is
like Piccolo's awfully patient with that, considering.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been training for that long too. He wants to, like they cross each other's paths, kind of a thing, like.
It's like they meet each other. We're gonna fight now.
I mean, there's like a 3 year space between their first fights. It was 2 extra years, so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the first 3 year gap was more because of
the tournament.
Well, because of the tournament and the fact that Piccolo was newly spawned.
Well, that's true.
Keep in mind, this Piccolo is only 8 years old.
I know that's what's crazy about it when you think about it.
Yep. I mean, granted, he ages probably faster than everyone else, but still.
Yeah.
He's only 8 years old. He's only 4 years. He's only 4 years older than Gohan.
No, well, no wonder they become friends.
Yep.
Playground buddies.
Yep.
Okay, so Goku teams up with Piccolo, who's his pride's a little stinging after that encounter with Raditz, and he basically wants to take him out because it's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a situation. They're still rivals and enemies post the tournament, but
and they're no longer calling him Junior. They're just calling him Piccolo.
Yeah, I mean he's grown up. He's kind of he's 8 years old now. He kind of all right. So point being, Raditz beat him in a fight, so he's got a score to settle, and they track Gohan's Dragon Ball hat. So it's a really clever way of doing it, and of course incorporating the namesake of the show, which never hurts either.
Yep. Dragon Ball.
Yeah, we got to track one Dragon Ball with that radar.
Yeah, it's especially interesting considering how less relevant the Dragon Balls come to the overall story in Z.
I want to highlight some of Kogias's comments here.
Yeah.
So Raditz, solid, intimidating villain to start things off. Absolutely. Again, just the fact that he's like laughing at it. One of my favorite bits with Raditz, which we're about to get into, is when he, Piccolo loses an arm. Says, "Has anyone seen my arm? It's green." He's just Justin Cook just loved it. He always loves doing the the big loud, just kind of mocking lines, which is what he made such a meal out of in Yu Yu Hakusho and of course the Boo Saga.
So the funny thing is, for a brief moment listening to it, I thought he almost sounded like Yuri Lowenthal.
I mean, that's the thing. There's a bit of a Lowenthal quality. I'll give you that.
Like he kind of has that cadence. It's kind of.
Yeah.
As I didn't think it was. I could tell it was, but like he sounds awfully lot. I even had to double check the wiki to make sure it's not actually Yuri Lowenthal.
Yeah.
And Dylan Cook shares the love of Justin Cook.
Nice.
And also Piccolo is the character that has had the best character development in the first part, in my opinion.
Well, that's yeah. Well, in the first part, what does he mean by in the first part?
I'm not sure. I might have to elaborate on that, but
well, actually, I think he just means like part one, like that first, but the Saiyan Saga overall. Which you're right, Piccolo is a fantastic arc in the Saiyan Saga. I think that's what he meant.
Most likely, and it is kind of interesting. So Piccolo and Goku make their way to Raditz, who has sealed Gohan in his spaceship.
Yes, which he's really going to regret destroying later.
Yes.
Anyway, so let's see. So I love this. This was always my favorite. This is one of my favorite things. And again, as a kid, before really getting into the weeds of Dragon Ball Z, I did even if it was the Pioneer dub, I still love the events that happen with the whole Goku and Piccolo team up, and they're taking on Raditz together, and just kind of almost like the 80s buddy cop kind of fare. Is like Piccolo has adopted Goku's weighted clothing kind of training method, which I thought was so cute, and it's awesome. And I love how we expand upon the whole weighted training thing.
I mean, it's basically like it's saying, "Well, it worked for Goku. It should probably work for me too."
Exactly. But again, we're showing that Piccolo again, the mark of a great the great characters in throughout Dragon Ball Z is progression, learning from mistakes, and something that again in contrast, again the Saiyans, their hubris. All of the characters they underestimate their opponents because they're relying on blood. They're doubling down on bloodlines and like strength and just like natural it's the whole nature versus nurture thing. Or it's very much it's nature is like this is we're bred for this, so we've never had to challenge ourselves. We can destroy planets whenever we want to. We never have to. It's the Superman thing of it's like Superman. Never really someone who has an equal force to Superman's power could, beat the crap out of him because he doesn't know how to fight. Because he's never had to, and it's not his fault because he can't. It's hard for that guy to train anyways. He's gonna have to, unless it's invincible, where he has people actually, hey, you should learn this. He's gonna, aside from lifting mountains, how's he gonna really train?
And it actually is kind of funny that the new Superman movie actually has a bit more in common with Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, but let's not get into that here.
Well, I'm not really gonna spoil it here, considering how new the movie is. But
And then as a
if you've seen the movie, which apparently is now confirmed to have a sequel in development, because James Gunn's confirmed he's writing it.
Mhm.
It's like there is an element regarding the backstory of Superman in that movie that ties very well into this.
Yeah. So Lucas Green says, well, only pure-blooded Saiyans have that hubris, ego, and pride. Absolutely, yeah. Except Goku. Again, Goku, he kind of had that literally knocked out of him. So
Which explains why, which is a good way to explain why Gohan doesn't have that, hostility from the get-go.
yeah, for sure. Anyway, let's see. So the point being, it's all about characters you kind of learn and kind of again, it's the whole thing of Goku. He subverted what the Saiyans became, and again, even though we retroacted made him an alien, he he all the things that he learned from humanity took him so far and made him a better person, made him basically the hero of our story that we root for. And again, that's the thing where it's characters that have progression throughout Dragon Ball Z. It's very much Goku. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Goku really redeemed a lot of, he redeemed bad people or people that were like flawed people, and he kind of inspired them to be better and become good guys. Kind of turn rivals to friends, and that was kind of like it's a wonderful and a positive theme that is throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, which I've always really liked. Like even just every little thing, like Bulma used to be kind of really selfish. She wasn't bad or evil, but then you have like characters like Oolong, again, not bad, not evil, and then we kind of step it up. We have characters who are kind of antagonistic to like Yamcha. Yamcha was a bandit who stole from people. He becomes a big hero in this arc.
Yep.
We have like a lot of stuff like that. Krillin was rival. He turns into his best friend, who again helps save the day majorly by the end of this. It all pays off. Piccolo being the best example, which again we're building towards, but still, it's
and of course there's another character introduced that also becomes one of the Earth's biggest saviors.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy that we go to those places, and again, but it's still in tune with what we've had ever since the beginning with Dragon Ball, and it's a wonderful just progression, just quality that the show has. And of course, Piccolo here, these little touches are great foreshadows to Piccolo's change, where again, it's the he has learned from defeat, which is the whole Turtle School kind of methodology of we learn from life and defeat.
Oh yeah.
So, unfortunately, despite them dropping all the weighted clothing and being very fast, Piccolo and Goku they're even as a duo they're outmatched, and Piccolo loses an arm.
Yep. Where'd my arm go? And of course, so you can say that Piccolo's been disarmed.
Yes, he has. We do a lot of that this arc.
But fortunately, he grows it back.
Yes, Tien not so lucky, but we'll
because Piccolo's a part sponge.
Yeah. If he wasn't, it wouldn't grow back.
Oh no! Now try and find a commonality connection between SpongeBob and Dragon Ball Z.
Well, we can find a codename Kids Next Door, but not SpongeBob.
It's like what's the connection with Kids Next Door?
Well, you remember the pizza episode.
Kind of, yeah. You might need to refresh my memory on that.
Okay, they did kind of the Rashomon thing. Like everyone has
Oh,
a different
oh
like
yeah, oh yeah,
POV on
oh,
the
oh yeah. Number fours,
number
right?
four. This was like the parody of basically the Frieza saga from Dragon Ball Z.
And then there's even that episode of Billy and Mandy, Chicken Ball Z.
Yep, Chicken Ball Z. Yep,
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
yeah.
Don't remember much about the episode, but I remember that.
Anyway,
Anyway,
aside from SpongeBob, all I really have is there was a martial arts episode, and he's yellow, so yellow, kind of like the Super Saiyan form. I don't know. That's about it.
that's like the basically the bare minimum of a connection you could make there.
Pretty much.
And there is a connection you can make with Ed and Eddie and Dragon Ball Z.
All right. Okay. Anyway,
with the voice of Rolf being one of the English dub voices of Goku.
there was another connection we can make with Johnny Bravo.
What's that?
Well, Johnny Bravo hosted that talk show where basically he reacted, really kind of recapped, the cart. He basically did running commentary on the cartoons, and he did an episode of Dragon Ball Z, but we had to fast forward because it was longer than like 11 minutes. So you did have Jeff Bennett as Johnny Bravo like talking about Dragon Ball. Basically, it was like a Goku versus Frieza episode of.
That's kind of interesting.
Anyway, we'll touch back on that next episode. But
all right, so as we were saying, like
Piccolo, despite losing an arm, has a trick up his sleeve: the special beam cannon, which was like the coolest thing to me as a kid. I love the idea that you could like concentrate the blast and build it up. But it was like again, it's a foreshadow to what the Spirit Bomb is, in which it's a big attack, and we have to charge it.
And also the only way to ensure they hit Raditz is for someone to grab his tail.
Yes, which again pays off, a big, very specific lesson in Dragon Ball that Goku, well, he trained his tail, and ultimately he lost his tail, which Raditz was like freaked out, like, where's your tail? That's like your secret weapon, man. How dare you lose that? You're a disgrace of a Saiyan. Basically, he's Goku. You neutered yourself, man.
He's basically trying to say like that's the source of the Saiyan's power.
Yeah.
Which we learn even more later.
Okay, so ultimately, Raditz initially, he's defeated because of his hubris, which is, he was going off of power levels, which really disarmed him when, they could mask their powers and their abilities, and just kind of like, just again surprising, really smart attacks, despite not having the physical might to overpower Raditz outright. So that was ultimately his hubris, and sadly Goku's hubris also shows here beyond Raditz's ego. So the ego and hubris on Raditz, Goku, he showed mercy to his brother. He showed mercy because he promised he'd leave and everything, and Goku let go of the tail, which was a mistake, a very costly mistake.
Very costly mistake.
So so then of course Raditz, he's wreaking havoc. Gohan, he again, we have Gohan's potentials. The idea is that Gohan unconsciously his Saiyan bloodline, which is interesting in contrast to Goku, where again, Goku as a fighter, having no idea like the the Saiyan background and everything, it was kind of channeled through very positive, and just kind of like again, one could argue that his energy is key, and everything was kind of like might be the reason he learned the Kamehameha wave so fast compared to like a 30-year like learning curve.
Yeah, you're right there.
So the point being, Gohan, though unconsciously, kind of what I'm saying is in contrast to Goku, and Gohan is kind of maybe again, the bloodline argument that the Saiyans and Vegeta and everything are making is even like a half-blooded Saiyan. He's still like his superiority is kind of being channeled unconsciously, but again, it's not really defining who Gohan is, and Gohan's bumping up against that at every turn. Like the true power within him is very much linked to like mentally where is he at.
And even then, it's kind of interesting to note that like at this point, Gohan's innate level it rivals and even exceeds that of Raditz.
Also, technically, Gohan's 4 years old, so
and he's a human too,
half human.
Half human, yeah.
So Gohan, he gets when Gohan. The idea is when Gohan gets really angry, that's when like a lot of that power, either as a survival defense mechanism or when he gets really angry, like his potential is what they always called in the show. Gohan's potential comes out. He bursts through, destroys Raditz's pod. and basically headbutts Raditz in a way like really like knocks him off his guard. Raditz gets really ticked off. He's about to like kill Gohan. Then Goku he saves everybody here. Big again to save his child and to save to kind of make up for the mercy that he showed, and kind of save the whole planet to a degree because Raditz would have been able to take over the planet. Goku like he holds him from behind and basically he allows Piccolo to kill him and Raditz with the special beam cannon, which is huge.
Yep.
It's like 5 episodes, like less than 5 episodes in, we've killed Goku.
Yep.
Like wow. So that's the other thing you can't do. Saiyan you can never take away that we killed our protagonist pretty early on.
Yep, and if this is people's first time watching Dragon Ball, it's just like, huh?
And we're not talking just like like he was like dead then like revived instantly. We're talking like the Halo and everything, Angel like dead, like gone.
He even went to hell.
Yeah, briefly. So again, we've killed Goku, which I really think deep down is the key that allows Piccolo to redeem himself. Oddly, in a weird way, is that the thing that allows Piccolo to really redeem himself and go on the arc that he goes to is like the satisfaction, like on some level he achieved his life's purpose by killing Goku.
Yeah, but he found newfound purpose when he revealed when Raditz, in his dying breath, tells. There are more.
Okay, so a couple things here. Lucas Green's got some comments here we should probably throw out there.
We did mention this, well, only people are
saying
Ego Pride. I'd say that Kamehameha is faster to charge, but still at this point, the special beam cannon is stronger.
Yeah, again, remember, Raditz's whole thing was speed. Like, Raditz, of the Saiyans, like, his ability was, Raditz was really fast.
Goku's gullibility is ridiculous. He's encountered so many double crosses already, like Tao, you'd figured he'd learn, never does.
Well, Tao was... Okay, in his defense with Tao, again, one, he was a kid going up against Tao, and, like, Tao really... It was always like the... It's like one surrender, then Tao blew up, so Goku, I can conceivably say he really didn't learn much from the Tao thing, where it's like one time, and then, like, he seemingly blew up Tao.
Yep.
So I mean, it's like a one-time experience. I don't think Goku really retained a lot of. Plus, I mean, Tao came back to life as a cyborg, so I don't know if that lesson really like fully like locked in there for him. But I mean, look, I take Lucas Green's point there. It's not perfect, but
yeah.
Again, it's the gullibility. Again, Goku's got a pure heart. He is the purest heart that we in the whole show. So yeah.
I mean, there are things he literally couldn't do if he didn't have a pure heart.
Yeah, he couldn't ride the Nimbus.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And of course,
he finally hugged his brother.
Yep, he has a brother. What a touching family reunion, huh?
One could say he killed him with kindness,
or just straight up killed him.
Well, that was Piccolo, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like what a touching family reunion. He meets him, then suddenly tries to kill him.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering with this whole with the Raditz talk, like, are you going to talk about Bardock, the father of Goku? Well, we're gonna touch base on that in the next one, folks, just in case anyone's curious.
And I don't think it's available on Crunchyroll.
Well, still, we'll touch on it. We don't have to go through.
I'm just saying, so I don't have any really good means to watch it.
Well, I can hook you up later. We'll talk later.
All right.
Anyway,
he's gonna slide me something under the table.
Well, something that I know a guy who knows a guy. Anyway, so the point being, okay. So Raditz in his dying breath, he is Piccolo here.
He reveals that there are two more Saiyans and that he's the weakest one of the bunch.
Well, yeah, but the important thing comes before that, Jacob.
All right, go on.
Piccolo made a very, very, very big mistake.
Oh yeah.
Piccolo gloated to Raditz. He was gloating to Raditz about, you think you've defeated Goku, but he'll be back thanks to the dragon. Like Piccolo spells out the Dragon Balls.
Yep, and that's what draws
the Saiyans to Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. So nice job there, Piccolo.
I think because ultimately, think about it. They really never respected Raditz. I mean, there would have been. There's a chance they could have come to the Earth to that professional courtesy to kill the thing that killed Raditz. It's a chance. I mean, look, there was a chance that was going to happen either way, but just given how low they think of Raditz, how little they think of him, there is a good chance that they're mainly. We know they've confirmed they're there mainly for the Dragon Balls, thanks to Piccolo. So, I like to some degree, Piccolo, he trains Gohan. I think in part because he knows he screwed this up. He knows he really brought danger to the planet there because he just had the gloat to Raditz in his dying breath. That's my headcanon for it, at least. That's like an additional reason that he's taking on the responsibility. Yeah, I screwed up.
Mhm.
But yeah, bold move to kill off Goku. But again, it's Toriyama's thesis, He is Toriyama's thesis here is that he's betting on the supporting cast. That I'm gonna put them forward. I'm gonna show you that basically he's betting on people are gonna love Gohan and Piccolo, and I'm gonna really sell them on what's happening with I'm gonna make them think our Z fighters have a chance, and that I'm gonna have them root for them with Goku in my back pocket in the meantime. So basically, kind of like have everyone looking this way while again we're waiting for kind of the big final match the whole time, but we're gonna still have everyone invested in like how long are they going to be able to last until then, or like do they have any chance of winning this, or at least winning against Nappa?
Oh yeah. So
So our,
the fact that he's the weakest of them.
yes, which is always like, oh my god, that Raditz was like the weakest of the bunch too. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, and considering how much trouble they had with him.
Which again is like another. It's
I mean,
always
yeah, since he also killed Goku. Technically Piccolo did, but
so Dragon Ball Z's it's kind of its greatest strength, but also kind of like it's the corner that perpetually has always written itself into is that there's always a progression with the power level. A lot of people say it's the power scaling problem, where like some people, if they really want to go by the numbers, it's of course the invention of the scouter really put this into practice, where we have like the scouter is like the thing that basically associate like a numerical value to power levels and everything. And some people throughout the history of the Dragon Ball franchise have always tried to like calculate what the exact power level was. But again, I feel when they do that, they're kind of missing the point of, look, I was there too as a kid. The idea of like, oh, it's like power levels and who's stronger at this point, and especially when we get the whole over 9,000 thing, you kind of want to know like who was what level where, like what it's like betting the odds almost in a fight. I get the appeal, but the whole point of it is that we can't go by the numbers, and sometimes being crafty in a fight will take you far, which ultimately is what defeated Raditz.
Mm.
So, but still, the whole thing, the writing into a corner thing. What I meant to elaborate on is that I love the progression of like Goku. Technically, based on the fight with Raditz, Goku's technically at his weakest. Kind of at his weakest, at least by Dragon Ball Z, not counting like Dragon Ball. If you really look at the progression of the whole series, Goku was kind of the weakest Saiyan of them all. He has the whole point of like Vegeta versus Goku Ultimate, as we're getting at, is that Goku was like bottom of the barrel with the Saiyans. He was like the lowest class of Saiyan. He was sent to the farthest reach, the most pathetic, easily conquered planet. Like a baby could conquer this planet. That's why he was sent there.
literally as a baby.
Yeah, like Bulma on the island, that she's very, or by the way, because Bulma doesn't really get a lot of love in the Saiyans. It's not she doesn't get a lot of love, and she doesn't have really a lot to do in it until she becomes the savior by the very end of it, tail end of it in the epilogue. Like Bulma has like nice moments. She's like kind of serving as our introduction to Gohan, like sending babies into space. That's horrible. She's like good old Bulma. Sporting the short hair look, by the way.
And keep in mind, this is the same woman that almost kicked Krillin into lava.
That's true. She's grown up.
Yes, not much, but she's grown up.
I mean, she's matured more, and at least she's matured here. Then we kind of set her back a little in the next saga, but
yeah,
peaks and valleys, kids, peaks and valleys. Anyway,
yeah.
What was I getting? Oh, right. So the fact is, we have like Goku again being like the whole class differential. Again, the whole nature versus nurture thing, the class differential. Like Goku's like he's the lowest level Saiyan, Vegeta's like the prince of all Saiyans. Like it's as high as he's as high level of Saiyan as he could get. And the fact that Goku is going to go really far, and that all these power levels are going to change, and the fact that Goku starts off like barely being able to defeat Raditz, and we're going to go to like I guess broad spectrum. We go to like Tournament of Power. God knows how many sagas later, where he's going to be able to,
battle gods.
battle gods and everything, So it's just gonna. But again, the fact is they keep having to raise the bar, and then you kind of look back on, man, he really had that much trouble that early on, but he's capable of that. But again, it took a lot of hard work. But it's like there's a realistic progression that is built upon, which I think was the key to why it still works. But it's just the fact that we keep doing it for saga after saga. After a while, it's like I just think in Dragon Ball Z, there's like a very clear cut, like, okay, we're reinventing the wheel as much as we can, and it's still working. And it's like we're building upon strength realistically of how we can get stronger and stronger. But you see what I'm saying, though, is that it becomes like a really difficult thing to maintain.
And then there's like super, and then there's like obviously further form. There's like a form you get later, then a form on top of that, and then on top of that, and on top of that.
I heard somewhere. I read an article. I read a blurb of an article. I didn't read like the full specifics of it, but essentially it was like this thing of like, I think there's a lot of talk of like like Toriyama, or like basically the people who have taken over Toriyama. It's like this thing of like a part of them really wants to just kind of like stop the Dragon Ball machine, just because it's like without Toriyama it just feels like logically we should probably end it.
Yeah.
But the chilling kind of odd thing is that apparently if they did like just fully like shut down like the production of new Dragon Ball stuff, that's not counting like the repackaging like the Kakarot game. Like they could always repackage Dragon Ball to the ends of the earth. Maybe they could give it a proper physical release. Who knows? But the fact is, despite that, they have to keep new Dragon Ball Z stuff coming out, or else like if that machine turns off, apparently the Japanese economy is in big trouble.
Oh God!
Like a lot of people, that's the thing. Apparently, there's like it does like big business. So if that gets shut down, it's like it's not everything, but it's like it's substantial. So that's why like apparently we're gonna keep getting Dragon Ball, and that's not gonna stop anytime soon.
So basically, Toriyama saved the Japanese economy.
I mean, more or less, essentially, yeah. I only read like the blurb of that article, but essentially, I was told the cliff notes of it were like they're going to keep producing Dragon Ball because if that machine gets shut off, there's going to be problems.
So it's literally a yen machine.
Pretty much.
I mean, as long as the stuff's still good, I guess.
Yeah, the Zenny machine with a Z.
Well, wait, I said yen because Japan, but still.
No, I know I was throwing Zenny because of the Z gag, but
yeah, I know.
Anyway,
but getting.
Did I make any sense with the power scaling thing? Because I feel like I trailed off.
I mean, it makes somewhat sense, yeah. Considering if you track Goku's progression from being the still insanely strong kid in the mountains to the now guy who's able to like instant transmission across the planet and fight gods.
Yeah, I think it. Look, I think it works within the context of a finite story, which ultimately between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z we have. But when you keep it going, like this whole money printing machine apparently that we have, you have to come up with new ways to make him strong. Which is how many hair colors can one guy have?
And to be fair, the Japanese government didn't help by giving Toei money to make Battle of Gods.
Yeah.
Because it's like the Japanese government that like basically gave us like, hey, make more Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
And then that led to Battle of Gods, which led to Resurrection F, which led to Super, and then basically the modern resurgence of Dragon Ball.
Yep.
And hey, a lot of the stuff's been good. So. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Goku doesn't entirely die per se. He kind of does, but his body's taken by Kami.
Yeah, and I love that Piccolo instantly knows Kami must be him.
Well, they are two halves of the same being.
Well, no, this makes sense. It's kind of cool.
Yep. So Kami, he knows about the Saiyans.
Well, because Piccolo knows.
because Piccolo, yeah. So he sends him to train with King Kai, but to become even stronger than he already is.
Which, again, logical reason for how Goku could become stronger and really learn new tricks. Which, again, it's kind of like it's basically the formula that we've had in Dragon Ball, which is kind of taken to the ethereal plane, if you will, via the other world.
But here's the question, though: why didn't he do that Why didn't he do this in the 3 years that he was training him for the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament?
Well, because look, I mean, he gave him the tools that he needed. Plus, well, you gotta remember. Okay, well, first of all, Jacob, he would have to be dead to do this training. So that's why. First off, he didn't do it.
I guess that makes sense.
That's like, you have to be. This is like special training that you got. One, you have to be dead to train because it's in the afterlife. Okay. Secondly, you have to get the permission from King Yama, which basically Goku is a spotless, pure of heart record, saving the world a bunch of times. King Yama, he's a nice, he's kind of a pushover for Goku. So
he kind of looks just like an even bigger version of the Ox King.
Well, he's tougher than he's a little more of a, you get a sense King, if he could have been ticked off at Goku, which thankfully, Goku charms a lot of people. So
I'm just saying he just kind of reminds me of an even bigger Ox King.
So by the way, King Yama, of course, I love King Yama. I love the idea. He's the big guy who's like the green and red stamp that decides who goes up, who goes down. And I love his look. I love he's just a big guy in a suit. You're right, bit of an Ox King look, but I love it with King Yama though. Both Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho have a version of King Yama.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, Jake. Here's the thing. Okay, so Dragon Ball Z King Yama, again, he's the preferred jovial version. Yu Yu Hakusho, first for starters, Koenma. You remember Koenma a little bit, right?
I haven't watched Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, I know you haven't watched, but you haven't absorbed like through osmosis nothing but Koenma.
No.
Okay, let me put it this way. In Yu Yu Hakusho, his boss, when he becomes a spirit detective, essentially, his boss is Koenma. And Koenma is essentially the son of King Yama, and we do eventually see King Yama, who is much more stern and we build up King Yama, and we don't really see him till down the line, Yu Yu Hakusho. But he's always like Koenma's unseen, very menacing father, who essentially is basically King Yama from Dragon Ball, only not as jokey.
Is King Yama like an actual figure in Japan?
Or? Yeah, that's the thing. So King Yama, I forget if he's. I want to say it's basically
because Kami obviously means God, and he's like, because like literally like G God.
I forget I forget if he's. Here's the thing. I want to say Yama is always like kind of like a. He does look rather demonic in appearance, and I want to say that King Yama, in the Yu Yu Hakusho as well. So I think he looks kind of demon-like, but he is like an authority. He is like the decider, like who goes up, who goes down. So that's essentially what his role is, like in mythology. The whole.
Apparently, Yama is based from East Asian and Buddhist mythology.
Yeah, so there you go.
Which I guess makes sense considering who we're talking about here.
Yeah. Also, that's the thing. There's Yama, but it's like it's pronounced Yama in the show, so I forget like if that's just kind of like the translation of the dub or.
I mean, the version I watched had Yama.
All right. Well, yeah, I think now I got Yama. I don't know.
Apparently, he's known as the King of Hell.
Well, that's him. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
that's accurate. Though that's him. Yeah.
So yeah, more. I guess it's like based on real world mythology there.
There you go.
So yeah.
Well, the point being, he and Kama, they would have to be in contrast. They would have to be in conjunction with each other, given he's the guardian of Earth, and essentially God, and essentially the guy on the other half of that. So
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Point being, the King Yama thing is it's really fun. Just the fact that he's like I love that he kind of wigs Kami out a little bit. We're like, what was that, Kami?
Even Kami fears King Yama.
Yeah. Oh, I love that Goku is like so charmed by King Yama that man, you really you tangled with Raditz and you sent them down there. Like that's really cool. I should study with you. Forget King Kai. So like Kami's like no, King Kai's much stronger. What was that, Kami?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Kami talking crap about Yama.
It's great. Anyway, well, yeah, so the point being, King Yama allows the training, which the way this training works is that Goku has to traverse Snake Way. And Snake Way essentially is the numbers kind of, the dub and the manga kind of change up like that. Essentially, it's 10,000 miles. It's a 10,000-mile trip on foot from the end of Snake Way, which is basically this giant, awesome-looking snake serpent-like pathway that you could walk. It's kind of inspired by the Great Wall of China a little bit, a little bit.
You'd think they would have found an easier way to get across. Like, hey, you can do this special training if you run 10,000 miles first.
Yeah. But again, it's like you have to earn the training, and again, it's also kind of the thing of like the thing on the way of the training helps you train as well. So it's the long walk, it's the journey.
Yeah, but I did kind of pick up on the fact that majority of the stuff that happened during the run and the episodes were definitely filler.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put a pin in the Snake Way stuff. Okay, let's talk about what's going on Earth. All right, because again, like I said, so overall we have an A plot and a B plot, all about the training to take us, to take on the Saiyan threat.
Yeah, we have Piccolo training Gohan.
Yeah, so this is the main thing. So Kami, now here's a layer that I don't know if this was just exclusive to the anime or not. I'm not sure, but I really like it. So there's an undercurrent that Kami suspects, because he and Piccolo do share that mind link, which, as you said, many points like they know stuff the other one knows. So Kami suspects, because Kami knows that he's going to die. He kind of basically plainly says, like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die during this Saiyan conflict. I don't know when or how, and he suspects that Piccolo knows this as well. So that does beg the question: Piccolo possibly knowing this is going to be an end, does that motivate him to really treat Gohan as his apprentice? Which, I mean, he ultimately does. He trains him, and he basically, makes him apprentice to, like, he imparts all of his techniques and his training and his knowledge onto Gohan. Again, possibly to carry on his legacy, knowing that he's not gonna live through this. Maybe.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of interesting, right? It's like an added layer to why he is investing so much in Gohan, versus just teaching him some basic moves.
Yeah, I can definitely.
And again, it's also kind of a revenge in that my legacy is going to be carried on by my enemy's sons. There's also, like, again, I like that initially it's like Piccolo not quite doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it out of desperation. He's making amends for kind of like, I got rid of the only other person that could take these guys on, and I brought him here in the first place. So I'm gonna, I guess my penance is I'm going to train my son, the son of my enemy, to essentially possibly usurp me.
Yeah, he does. He does kind of point out the irony there.
Yeah. But again, I like the layers there. So with Piccolo's arc, it's just very important that we see, like, he's not completely
He's doing it,
noble in what he's doing.
but he's doing it more because, like, he realizes that there's a greater threat coming.
Yeah, but
and plans.
Multiple motivations are kind of like, I still like that we have like a few ways you could take it.
Oh yeah.
All right, so it's basically the training starts with 6 months of basically survival training, which is kind of Gohan on his own. We really kind of take him from being utterly helpless to being a little bit more in line with Kid Goku. That's kind of what the idea of the 6 months are. So he's amidst this, we have the Grade 8 transformation, which kind of teaches Piccolo something very important that helps out later. Again, every part of the buffalo.
The moon.
Yeah, the Zaru Grade 8 transformation. It's always funny that I say Great Ape. I know it's technically Ozaru, and the reason Ozaru is probably more accurate because technically they're monkeys, not apes.
Yeah.
Technically, but let's be honest, Great Ape sounds cooler.
Ozaru, I don't think is used in the dub.
No, they don't use it in the dub. I'm just saying that they say ape, and it pretty much because of that I associate with the Great Ape form, but technically have a tail, so monkey.
Yeah.
Technically.
Technically, then that would mean the Saiyans would be monkeys.
Well, yeah, that's when every time Frieza says monkey, that's what he's not wrong.
Because humans are apes, but Saiyans have tails.
Yeah.
So Saiyans are monkeys, technically. In a roundabout way, yeah.
Point being, so if I still say Great Ape, don't judge me harshly, kids.
I don't think I won't judge you too harshly.
Anyway, so we blow up so Piccolo, he blows up the moon, which again Kami just put back, which is it's just kind of
at least like 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, he got rid of Goku's tail so he could have the moon.
Yeah, it's like It's like only if he gets rid of the tail.
Yep, only if he gets rid of the tail. And again, he never explained the specifics to Goku.
Yep.
So Piccolo blows up the moon. But again, it's a clever strategy to disarm the Saiyans later, seeing that this was like their secret weapon. So yeah, there's a really smart bit here.
It's like, except the Saiyans have a way around that.
They do. They have a couple ways around it, actually.
Yeah.
So we have the sword and the gi. So we have the So he basically gives Gohan a sword, and he gives him like kind of the traditional orange kind of outfit like Goku has, but with Piccolo's symbol on the back, which is a really nice touch.
Yeah, he basically generates clothes and a sword for Gohan.
I always love when Piccolo did stuff like that. He never does it anymore, but it was cool.
Like, so speaking of like a bridge, one of the funniest parts is like when he calls it clothes beam.
God.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of what it is.
No, you're right. It's just kind of funny.
It is.
Now, to be fair, Kami could do the same things. That's why Piccolo can do that, but it's kind of neat.
Clothes beam.
All right, so the misadventure. This is the main thing I want. This is honestly one of the factors in which why in our coverage we had to cover the filler. Gohan's misadventures here. This is a lot of filler that is only specific to the anime, but some people some people love it. Some people, this is like why Kai exists. I love the robot episode. I've always loved the robot episode. I was on the edge of my seat as a kid watching it. On one of the Toonami airings. I always loved the idea that he was like Gohan. He just kind of found this robot. Gohan was kind of scholarly, so he learned about robots and kind of machinery and stuff. And he's just kind of talking with the robot, and he's just scared. And this robot wants nothing to do with him, and he just keeps turning him on. And it just kind of reminded me of like years later, I hit upon this Mork and Mindy episode, Dr. Morkenstein. I've told you about this before, I'm sure.
I'm actually not sure if you've told me about this episode.
Okay,
so you probably did.
Okay, long story short, there's an episode of Mork and Mindy in which Robbie the Robot guest stars, and essentially Mork he's working in a museum and he kind of rewires the Robbie the Robot robot. I think he names it.
I think you actually did tell me this.
Yeah. So for the kids out there, essentially he names the robot's name Chuck. Like that's essentially Robbie the Robot's role here. And he befriends him, but basically Chuck is his power cells are dead. Basically the robot dies, and it's truly a gut wrenching, sad thing the way Robin Williams kind of plays off of this robot. So I think to something, and the only years later when I had it, I was flashing back to this episode. It's like, oh my god, it's like the Gohan and the robot episode, which is so sad, where this robot ultimately save Gohan's life, and the idea is that Gohan is plagued by death in these filler misadventures because the robot dies. Then he befriends a dinosaur. It's kind of like the long necked dinosaur, and it gets killed by the dinosaur that keeps trying to eat him very brutally.
Which apparently teaches him like the futility of life.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. A lot of futility of life stuff going on with Gohan here. As we take so much from him. Also, I love that he kind of gets revenge on this dinosaur. He always after Gohan learns a thing or two, he ends up he cuts off the tail for the tail steak.
Yep, he roasted over.
Pulls a Yajirobe.
Yep. Yeah, that's supposed to be my dinner.
My breakfast.
My breakfast. Hey, that's my breakfast, kid.
Exactly. Anyway, so admittedly, of all the Gohan filler, the orphan story was always my least favorite. I did not like that one. It was just
that kind of dragged.
The ending of it was good though. The ending of Gohan makes his way home, but he decides, no, I shouldn't go home.
Yeah,
that was the good part. But the whole thing getting him there was we didn't really, Yeah, the point being, Gohan making the choice to stay and train with Piccolo, that's growth. That's the benefit of doing the filler.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of ways they could have about doing that with, and they could have at least made the orphans arc more interesting.
That's true. All right. So the rest of the Z fighters. So after hilarious, I want to get your take. So Krillin kind of drew the short straw. He was tasked with telling Chi-Chi that Goku's dead and Gohan has been kidnapped to be trained by Piccolo, her little scholarly baby.
Yeah, but he can't find. He doesn't. He doesn't have the heart to do so.
He
And
doesn't. So then the Roshi and Bulma have to take him back. So I guess she goes to the island. They have to tell her and the Ox King.
Well, what happens is like first like they keep Gohan, they keep Krillin. I mean, overnight for dinner, waiting for Goku, with an increasingly ticked off Chi Chi.
Yeah.
And then after he leaves, she basically charges into Kame house.
Yep.
I mean, Chi Chi basically just storms onto the island. Poor Ox King trying to calm her down.
Yep. By the way, Ox King again, basically from 23rd Martial, like the epilogue of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament onward. That's where we get very much like the Dragon Ball Z Ox King, which is really the loving grandpa Ox King, which is wonderful.
He wanted to see his daughter get married.
Yep, and he's such a great grandpa too. Which unfortunately, I gotta be honest. Unfortunately, we only really see in like the movies. We don't really see the Ox King interact with Gohan a lot because usually Gohan's wrapped up in something.
We do see him get him toys in this saga, but unfortunately, we don't get to see Gohan play with them.
Yeah,
but he looks like he'd be a good grandpa.
Mm-hmm. All right, so after looping Chi-Chi and which is kind of it's a funny moment.
Yeah, she's not happy.
No, not happy. Understandably so, though. It's like my husband's dead and my baby's been kidnapped by the guy that almost the guy turned giant the term
and also technically killed her husband.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Also, like the murderer, he murdered my husband and took my child.
Yep.
He let this happen, Krillin?
Well, it's not like he let. It's just more like. So to be fair, Piccolo did say it's not a request.
Yeah.
So he kind of forced it.
Pretty much. All right. So after that, Krillin and the gang, they train at Kami's Lookout, which again, here's a statement here just on kind of the Z fighters and just kind of that's kind of I like that we all gave a nickname, Goku, the gang of friends, to kind of become the Z fighters, which is kind of cute.
Yep.
It's not like an official name, but I think it's just kind of like, well, actually, wait, maybe the narrator did call them the Z Fighters. I don't know. Maybe it is canon. I'm not sure. The point being the Z Fighters. They're always training in Goku's shadow. If we really think about it throughout the series, like here, they're training at Kami's Lookout, which is what he did to train for the 23rd Martial Arts. And you go further back, Yamcha, he trains, where Goku and Krillin train. He trains with Master Roshi. As we add more people to the gang, Tien also trained with Roshi. And, then Korin, and then Kami, and then, well, we'll get to it, but a little bit of King Kai.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean, though. They're always kind of in Goku's shadow. But again, it's always like in learning what we learn about Goku, it then becomes, it kind of becomes even more impressive where they're training in places that only somebody who had like the abilities to like endure these conditions, like these are like human people being able to do it like we originally thought Goku was human, so it still kind of plays.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so they train at Kami's Lookout. We check in with him first. So Yamcha is like he's a baseball player, which is always like a weird choice with him, but it kind of makes sense.
And Japan baseball's very big in Japan.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, just the fact that the whole baseball, just the sense of like, because he's such a skilled martial artist and so strong, he could be like the best baseball player ever. He's just bored by it.
Yep, he basically is considered to be a good baseball player, but from what I understand, at least in the dub version, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's the thing. He's great. He's being offered like, look, I'll hit the ball for like this for a bonus or a signing bonus. This is okay, fine.
And then the fight breaks out, and
yep, and then Krillin shows up. Krillin, hey!
It's like he's basically excited to see Krillin.
Yeah, which is great. Anyway, so Tien and Chiaotzu. Now this was great, and again, yeah, I know it's not Toriyama's input, but still, it's just it's nice to see Launch at least in one more. So like she did make an appearance in Z at least,
Yep, so, and she's back to her old thieving ways.
I love this though. I love that Launch. This is like Launch's version of being domestic, where she steals everything. She hires cooks and everything to impress Tien. Who again, she has the hots for Tien. It's adorable.
I always thought it as like she hired them.
Well, yeah.
It's like, I guess, hired being in quotation marks.
Well, I don't know. I think she stole enough money. I think she actually did hire him, but
Yeah, maybe that's entirely possible. But
that's a, you know,
and like I said, it was nice to see her again.
yeah, it's just really cute to see her trying like Launch's version of playing the happy homemaker with Tien. It's cute.
And they seem to be like living together.
Well, that's the thing. I just really like that. We got a little bit of relationship with Launch and Tien. They do like each other, and he likes both of them. It's a shame that we never really saw Tien with like the blue hair Launch all that much. We saw it like very briefly, where basically Tien. It just seems like Tien likes Launch, but he kind of they want very different things. It was always like a flawed relationship, but he always kind of wanted it to work out. At least I did. I don't know.
I mean, I did too.
So and again, she gets really now, mind you, this is something that the dub unfortunately kind of. I think the Japanese dub, sorry, the Japanese sub, whatever. The point being, the Japanese version of the episode, probably it translated a little better than it did in the anime. The anime is a lot more subtle. That Launch is kind of drunk in a bar later on during the end times, mainly because she probably saw that Tien got killed.
Yeah.
Presumably. Now, that's why she's like kind of bummed out at the bar, which makes that better to me. But they kind of make it vague in the American dub.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I see where you're coming from on that.
Well, I'm just saying it's kind of like it's very subtle. It's kind of there, but it's not really the Japanese like subtitles. I think kind of makes it more apparent. Like she probably says Tien's name or something, or not. Anyway, so then the Yajirobe, of course, Yajiro, he's getting the gang together. He's mostly snacking during the training, mind you.
That Brictus.
Yeah. So the main thing to take away here, you don't want to see a lot of the training except for the pendulum room. So this is one of the things I was teasing up during the this is kind of like the build up to the hyperbolic time chamber again. Like we've had like the we sent Goku back in time in like the filler from Dragon Ball, and then
wasn't that like during the training for like the
23rd, yeah,
for the 23rd.
That's right. So we kind of did that there, and that was filler as well. And then we have the pendulum room here, and then ultimately we have something that actually does count with the hyperbolic time chamber. I want to say they were working backwards from the hyperbolic time chambers for looking for filler ideas. Like, what if there was kind of like other rooms at the lookout that kind of are like the hyperbolic time chamber, but maybe more literalized with time. So, long story short, I think that I like this filler because it's kind of a tease and a foreshadow for what's going to happen to all these characters. It gives them a taste of what they're up against. We see them fighting kind of some rando Saiyans from like way back. And again, we show that they have a lot to go. They have a lot to learn. But I like the Kami's like he's praising them for they've Yajiro's like, so how'd it go? He's like, well, they fought valiantly.
Yeah, it's basically it's their way of showing like those hallucinations are not even close to being strong as like the one the Saiyans coming to Earth.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Then we have like the Saiyan filler with Arlia.
Yeah, which I do kind of appreciate them giving like a look into Goku to Nappa and Vegeta's dynamic.
Yeah, of course, they're a fun pair, and obviously their dynamic is going to be short lived. But
and Vegeta has red hair.
Yeah, so there was a color error when they were animating Dragon Ball Z, and there's this weird thing where, as a kid, I always thought it was like an aesthetic choice. I still would argue ultimately you could read it as an aesthetic choice until you get to the Arlie episode, which you see like, oh, yeah, that's a mistake. It's a big old mistake.
And you can tell it's a mistake later because they also change Nappa's armor too.
Yeah, that too. And that might have, I think in the manga he had armor that was like red. So that one actually carried over. So
I know there's like other differences you can tell, but yeah, Vegeta's hair was colored red. I even asked you like, wait, why is Vegeta's hair red?
Yeah, so that's why. So that's the thing. As a kid, I always read it as like it was just like when we saw him on the planet, it was like a thing where it was just because like they were over a fire and everything. I thought the fire just made like the lighting made his hair look red for some reason, but Yeah, it was just a mistake. It was just like something that didn't get the colors didn't get communicated, or basically they were guesstimating from the manga before it was like straightened out. Like, here's what this hair color is going to look like.
It's like, oh, is it black? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like heck, there's a lot of like, almost all the big characters' hair colors are black, so like it makes you wonder why they didn't just go with black in the first place. Maybe they just wanted to like, I don't know.
Okay, the point being, the Arlie episode is really it's kind of fun. It's a great standalone, and it's just the idea that Nappa and Vegeta, and this is what I really like about it, is that it's so unique in that we've flipped it so Nappa and Vegeta are kind of the in quotes heroes of the episodes, despite just they're just bored the whole episode, and they basically save the day out of boredom. And at the end, it's like, yeah, let's just destroy the planet because they're all bugs. You know, they literally just
Yep, like they even like stop a tyrannical king, reunite reunited lovers like the princess and one of the other bugs.
mhm.
It's all heartwarming. Then it gets all destroyed.
Yep. So again, it's kind of hilarious. It's dark. It's black humor at its finest. You know.
Yep. It's like yeah, they're the good. They're the good guys of the episode, but they ended by destroying everything.
Now, admittedly, with the fillers, another thing we kind of doubled down on. Well, literally, we kind of doubled down on like a scene we had earlier where it's cool, and I remember from the marketing very well. Like but it was like I think they worked into the intro kind of or something. But we have Gohan turning into an ape for a second time, which I mean, look, to give Kai its due, sometimes like stripping it down to the bare minimum and basically just going purely by the manga, obviously you can't really go wrong with like serving like the parts that really worked in the manga story. But I'm of two minds with this because I love the idea Piccolo's Piccolo is able to duplicate himself and fight himself. That's a cool idea
Yeah,
for his training.
it is.
And the idea that okay, the Saiyan ships can project the moon, that's a neat idea. Okay, it's very convenient that they just happen to be around Goku's ship that we established from way early on. Again, we're using every part of the Buffalo. That ship, would still be around. I get it. It's a little easy. And the main problem I have with is that okay, in setting up the ape transformation and we destroyed the moon, seemingly this would not happen again. And then, of course, the Blutz wave would be like the big wrinkle that we throw into things. And then that's how we bring everything back. Doing yet another one in the middle, it feels like maybe we're hitting it over the head that, remember, kids, he can Saiyans transform with the moon.
Yes.
So, it's redundant. It's not bad. It's kind of cool in a vacuum, but it's still a foreshadow, but it's like an excessive foreshadow.
I mean, perhaps it was kind of a way. I mean, we're watching this all in streaming, so like, or on DVD, maybe in your case.
Well, anyway,
or basically we're able to watch them in sequence back to back. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
My point is like, I mean, then like when this first came out, people had to watch it week to week. So maybe that was a way to remind them in a way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, back on Otherworld. Goku's traversing Snake Way. And we have filler that is it feels very it always felt very Toriyama. This now again, obviously the filler is not in the manga, but it feels very Toriyama approved, frankly. It's really good filler.
Yeah, which one is that?
I'm just saying, honestly, all the Snake Way filler I think kind of worked. Where Goku he falls off. It's like what happens if you fall off Snake Way? So Goku is like he's hitching a ride on a street sweeper guy, and which is such an absurd idea in itself. That why would Snake Way be like a guy on a sweeper? So that feels very Toriyama, frankly. But it's
kind of a gag manga vestige.
That's what I'm saying. Like so few and far between in the saga. But anyway. So Goku falls off, and he ends up in hell. And he meets Gaz and Mez, and this whole thing it basically is a filler episode that feels very gag manga Toriyama, and it's delightful. It's the idea that these two guys are just messing with them and not knowing that the determination. We basically established the rules of like, okay, you fall off Snake Way, you're stuck there. You're stuck in hell. However, and again, Goku being a pure character, has not really done anything wrong. So clearly, this is going to be a big problem. So we got to get him out of here.
And then when they try and like give him the other ways to get out, he earnestly tries to go about doing so.
And it's just funny, and it reminds you of classic Dragon Ball, and just the idea that after all of that, the exit from the secret exit from hell is basically end up in King Yema's desk drawer, which is really
at the very beginning of Snake Way again.
What is funny, and again, ultimately, I would argue this is the main. Again, it's only filler, so you can't really go by it really like firmly. But I would like to say this is like the reason why Goku didn't make it in time.
Yeah.
I know King Kai. Obviously, there's a big faux pas on his part in the calculations, but still, it's like Goku would have saved that time. Like that's
basically it's kind of also the anime's way of acknowledging, like, yeah, this episode was an entire waste of time.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
It was a fun waste of time, but a waste of time nonetheless.
And look, we have to kill time with like 10,000 miles of Snake Way anyway. Otherwise, it's just going to be him running all the time and cut back to him,
which essentially what happened in the manga. What I'm saying, the manga just showed like, oh, hey, Goku's still running.
Yeah. All right. So I always loved the Princess Snake detour. I still really like it. Just the idea that look, yes, it's a bit of a buy, but it's really cool. The idea it's a fun like little diversion where Goku mistakes Princess Snake for King Kai at first.
Yeah.
And then Princess Snake just kind of like she's she's flirting with him, basically wants to get him there. Basically, she wants to eat Goku, and well, maybe more ways than one. The point being, she wants to eat Goku.
Yep. And I think he's entirely convinced. She does give him food, which helps. I haven't eaten in 3 months.
What was like the drug food doesn't even take effect. He's just...
Yep. He has that good of a metabolism, I guess. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
It's like, so she basically has to like feed him and keep feeding him to make sure he falls asleep.
Yeah.
And then she transforms, tries to eat him. He tricks her into tying herself into a knot.
Yep. Yeah, basically tries to seduce him, and he's a loyal married man, and basically she gets tied up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. So eventually we reach King Kai's planet. So King Kai is just so much great stuff with King Kai. So King Kai, one, his planet looks awesome. It's smaller than a moon. It's like basically, what if Kame House were like spherical? And it's like this little planet with a really cool little car on it, and like a little house. It just looks like a perfect place to retire. It looks like an old like a home in an old folks suburbs. It just looks great. And we have King Kai, who has a great design himself, and yet King Kai is voiced by who else, Jacob?
I think Sean Schemmel.
Sean Schemmel just doing the King Kai voice, which is always just really funny.
We haven't mentioned in this stream, but in previous ones is also the voice of Goku.
Yeah, Sean Schemmel just to get perfect and put on this earth to be Goku.
Yes.
And again, also just as King Kai, just hilarious at that.
Well, the thing is, he tries to be hilarious.
Well, yeah.
I mean, to us he's funny, but to people in the universe, it's like to us it's just like he's funny when he's funny because of how unfunny he is.
It's the King Kai's voice, just in contrast to Goku, is just really is just funny in itself.
Like especially when you realize it's the same guy.
Love the fact that he initially mistakes Goku for an aspiring comedian.
Yep. And even then, he works that into his training.
Yep.
Considering King Kai kind of talks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's not all that happens though. Goku mistakes Bubbles for King Kai.
Yeah. Mistakes the pretty girl for King Kai. Mistakes the monkey for King Kai.
And then wonders who King Kai is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, after all the misdirects, I'd be kind of confused too.
All right, so a few things with the training of King Kai's plan. First of all, best idea. 10 times the Earth's gravity, which just has just great logistical progression for like how the training in the world. Like, how do you step it up from the heights that Goku's already reached training wise? He's got to remember too, Jacob. That's the one of the hardest things. I do not envy the writers. I do not. Well, I don't envy Toriyama, or probably with our filler occasionally. I don't envy the Toei writers. Just the idea of like how do you represent training in a way that's just like beyond the usual stuff. Like how do you step up the training or show training that would make sense for how a guy gets as strong as these characters get. So you have to really think of creative ways to do that. So here, especially after we've done it so well with Dragon Ball and how we've represented the training there, so we're doing the weight training has always been like the cornerstone of how we make people stronger in Dragon Ball. Always the great logic, and I've always subscribed to that logic of just I don't know how accurate it is. I'd like to think it is that you do something heavy for a long while, and then you kind of lighten up. You might be faster, a little stronger. Again, it's just how strength building works. Maybe I don't know.
If anything, it makes sense within the show's universe.
Sure. So again, doing that in a way that's like, again, it's just the gravity in total. It's not like something you can just turn on, take on and off with the clothing. It's the fact, I don't know, it just made it was great in the fact that it was him getting used to the gravity too. It's the way of him naturally making him stronger, even though we're not going to be able to do a whole lot with him, like in terms of like just the usual punching, kicking, kind of like
I mean, I said ultimately it doesn't make sense within the show's pre-established logic. It doesn't make much sense scientifically considering the small planet with the immense gravity, but it works for the story.
Yeah. So he does like again. So kind of like we had with the turtle training. He's he's doing very mundane or very simple kind of day-to-day stuff. But again, under the 10 times the Earth's gravity, he's chasing bubbles. He's bonking Gregory on the head with a hammer.
Who, by the way, Gregory is a creation of the anime, but was created and designed by Toriyama for the anime.
Mm-hmm. So, so we have the gravity, we have the speed, and the kind of all these things going for him. And we also have him learning two very important techniques that really serve him far:
Kaioken,
the Kaioken, and of course, the Spirit Bomb.
Oh yeah.
So after he learns these techniques, we'll see them in practice shortly. Gives him a new gi, which this detail I always loved, and I completely forgot about till my rewatch that. I always remember the gag where like the he has like the turtle logo on the front and the back, though he has King Kai's logo, which again is kind of a nice runner, like Goku putting like the new symbols on the back of the gi.
It is a pretty nice detail. It shows both of his masters.
Yeah. So it's very, very neat. But I didn't know that it was energy resistant. Like basically, it would repel like kind of energy attacks, which again is kind of like it kind of serves a story where it deflects some of Nappa. Well, it deflects some attacks. Like I think when Nappa or someone like throws something at him, like there's that bit where like Nappa, like Goku like takes an attack, and when he takes that one attack from Nappa, the energy attack, just the arms up and everything, not barely a scratch on because that outfit deflected a lot of the energy, which kind of helped him.
Yeah, it's pretty good if King Kai did create something like that for him.
Yeah, so it's really nice. It's like a reward for all the training too. Anyway, so all that's great. One massive problem though. King Kai forgot to factor in the return time, which means in the time to finish the training, give him all the tools that he needs, have him wished back, and to get to the battlefield to find the Saiyans in time, Goku is going to be running really late, which is good. Which is the first of many "Where's Goku" buildups in the series. By the way, this is like the biggest trope in Dragon Ball Z of like where's Goku to save the day.
Yeah, they basically hold off until Goku gets here. The cavalry gets here.
Yeah, but again, this is like probably the most iconic version of it because a lot of bad stuff happens while we're waiting for Goku.
Yeah.
All right.
But fortunately, with Goku's training, his speed is also exponentially increased, so he'll be able to make the return a lot faster.
Yes.
Considering it took him like almost a year to make it to King Kai.
Well, yeah.
He can get back in just like a couple days.
Yeah.
So go on.
All right. So 1 year later, Goku has been wished back, but again, he's going to be delayed while the Saiyans, during the arrival of the Saiyans. So Vegeta and Nappa have arrived. Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. We should talk about the rules of the Dragon Balls. This is kind of important.
Yeah.
So this is for the first time in the show. Really, we've established rules on the Dragon Balls, which we did not have previously. This is kind of an example of Toriyama kind of making stuff up to answer any fans' questions that that could get in the way of the plot. But also, in terms of tracking, yeah,
That's saying like as establishing the rules is like it cannot they cannot grant a wish stronger than his creator's power.
yes, and they can't grant the same wish twice.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So it's three. It's three rules. Oddly enough, you can't grant the same wish twice. Can't exceed Kami's power, like Jacob said. And also, Piccolo and Kami are linked to the Dragon Balls, which means if anything happens to one of them, Dragon Balls go bye bye.
Yeah.
We've established these three things, so we always kind of talked about it in Dragon Ball. We never really saw it in practice until here.
Well, now we have and now the stakes are just that much higher.
Now, here's something I want to throw at you.
Okay.
It occurred to me in our rewatch of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. So Goku turned down Kami's offer to become the guardian of the Earth, become Kami.
Yeah.
So in theory, we're all talking what ifs here. In theory, had Goku taken the job and somehow still been able to train, had we gotten the Dragon Balls and wished the Saiyans away, conceivably that would have worked.
But then again,
Goku can't do his training unless he dies, though. In which you're right, though. It still wouldn't,
he wouldn't be since he wouldn't be stronger than the Saiyans.
Yeah.
It'd still exceed his power.
Yeah, it does beg that question though. Again, Goku being able to become stronger and be a guardian. That means the Dragon Balls will be unstoppable, possibly. But you're right though. There are logistics.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fun little thought I had, realization that he was offered the job, and
unless Toriyama changes the rules.
So speaking of which, again, too, the other thing is that when we recreate the dragon later on, we kind of change some few things that how the wishes work. So
Yep.
All right. Okay, so point being, the arrival of the Saiyans.
They first land in a populated city.
First thing they do, just Nappa. He always does that really cool move where he does the two finger and just whole city destroyed.
He basically nukes the city.
Which is just, it was such a shock and awe, oh my god, we are. And they got to remember too, if you never watched this film, people who just went by the manga and I guess by Kai, this is the first time you're properly seeing these two. Besides the whole red hair thing, it's the first time you're properly seeing these two. Yeah. And then, that's a heck of an entrance, just utterly eviscerate a city.
Not even just
one move.
With one move, two fingers.
Yeah.
Like I said, he basically nukes the city.
Exactly. So logic. I like the logic here. Okay, so they're seeking out to find the guy, the person that defeated Raditz. They're gonna seek out the highest power level on the planet using the scouters. So use them for a practical purpose, which basically points them to Piccolo, Gohan, the rest of the Z fighters.
It is kind of interesting that Vegeta here also admonishes Nappa about what if the Dragon Balls were here?
Oh yeah, you're right, Vegeta. I guess I didn't think about that.
Even though technically, I mean, if we've been following the story up to this point, we would know that that even if he did do that, the Dragon Balls probably would be fine.
No, that's right. But I'm saying you're right that he doesn't know that.
Yeah. Unless they can be destroyed by a being of higher power than Kami too.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, my heart of hearts says the Dragon Balls would be indestructible, but really, I don't know.
I mean, if they can't grant a wish stronger than Kami's power, maybe they can be destroyed by something greater than Kami's power.
I've never thought about it until that specific with the Dragon Ball, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking into it too much.
No. I mean, look, no, Jacob, that logic tracks. I'm just saying that I mean, my hope is that they would be fine regardless, because traditionally, it's a Dragon Ball. We've established up to that point, Dragon Balls are indestructible. Like they don't crack, they don't break, nothing.
But the point is, Goku. The point is, like even Vegeta and Nappa don't know that.
Yeah. Anyway, so also with their dynamic too. This is a classic Toriyamaism. We have little guy, big guy, and the idea is the little guy is always stronger than the big guy, or is as strong as the big guy. And their dynamic is they're kind of like in quotes, friends. Obviously, it's like a boss and muscle dynamic, with the misdirect being the smaller guy is far stronger than the big guy.
And of course, like with Nappa, and of course in this case, like Prince and bodyguard, kind of.
Yeah, and the idea is like Nappa and Vegeta, like they've had some history together. Like I think some of the supplemental stuff, like Bardock, Father Goku, and here and there, like they've implied that Nappa was like the general of the Saiyan clan, and basically he was tasked with guarding, training, or I guess kind of being like a training partner, and kind of watching over Vegeta. So he's been linked with Vegeta for a long time. They know each other for a long time, and there's a sense of history, and just but still Vegeta's just the cocky little prince, and Vegeta's like kind of the more he's the blue collar guy.
You mean Nappa?
What did I say? I said
you said Vegeta's the prince, and then Vegeta's the blue collar.
Sorry, not Nappa. Yeah, Nappa's the blue collar guy. Yeah.
And we should probably talk about like more of like Toriyama's naming conventions.
Yeah.
Like Vegeta, obviously. We talked about Kakarot earlier, obviously derived from carrot.
Raditz, radish.
Yep. Vegeta, obviously vegetables as a whole.
Yep.
And Nappa, named after Napa cabbage.
There you go.
So Toriyama, unless your name is Goku, your name is a reference to, or it's like a reference or a pun.
True.
So yeah.
All right.
Keep in mind, to the person knowing, like there are these powerful city leveling threats named after cabbage. I mean, think about it. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. The point being, so the Z fighters, they have assembled. They're basically stalling for Goku.
You think I'm stalling?
Yep. Had the same exact thought. Stalling.
You think I'm stalling?
Yeah, so Vegeta and Nappa, they're looking for amusement, so they bring out the Cyberman. Which again, just in general, though, again the dynamic and the banter between Nappa and Vegeta is great. Just these two guys who are so strong, and they're just looking for a good time, and just Vegeta just being easily kind of amused and entertained. But okay, fine, we'll just we don't want to sully, again, being the elitist that he doesn't want to sully his hands unless he has to. And Nappa, again, he's there to do the dirty work, and Vegeta's there to only get his hands dirty if he has to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like he's the final line, basically. He's like,
oh yeah,
I'm not going to dirty my hands on such rabble.
Yeah. So we have the Cybermen. The Cybermen are they were always like the creepiest part of the Saiyan sagas. The idea of these little green, like alien looking like monsters. Essentially, they're training dummies. Essentially, the idea is the Cybermen are. These were like the strongest batch of the Cybermen that they had, that basically were the strongest Raditz, and they're used for like they're like a science. Again, this is like the Tuffle technology that the Saiyans inherited. It's like a genetic thing where basically they were used for training purposes, and maybe like as like like kind of pawns if the Saiyans were like sending out like drop. Like in theory, if the Saiyans really didn't want to get their hands dirty, they could just like grow these guys and just send them out to do damage, and
Yeah, imagine being destroyed by something that looks like sentient cabbage.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so so this, but again, really, the big takeaway. So why do we even have, or the Cybermen aren't filler per se, but it's just the thing with the Cybermen is like they help measure the progress of our Z fighters, which again, they're going up against something as strong as Raditz was, which again helps show how strong the rest of the characters have gotten compared to where we were when they started, a year ago. You know,
Oh yeah.
and again, Raditz essentially was the low-level Goku, which again is kind of that's kind of the other thing too. This is kind of a big victory for some people, where again, if they can defeat Raditz, they're kind of being able to defeat Goku at the earlier stages when he was quite unstoppable.
Yep, shows you it does a good job of showing how strong they've gotten.
Again, always in Goku's shadow, these Z fighters, but still progress.
But the yeah, but and Yamcha seems to be doing well enough at first.
Well, yeah, well, Tien, I guess here's the thing. So we do it kind of a tournament style.
Where they take turns.
Yeah, so Tien's very victorious. So this is kind of like the closest thing Tien has like winning against Goku in a sense.
Yeah, but
Vegeta
now,
then kills that Cyberman because he lost his weakness. Sets a tone for Nappa's fate, but
yep. But Nappa questions is like, "Yeah, I told him to try his best. If he's bitten by him, he's clearly not doing that."
yeah. So then,
Christopher Sabat,
yep, of course. So then, we have the death of Yamcha, where Yamcha fights one. He seemingly wins, but basically the Sidemen use the element of surprise to kamikaze Yamcha, and then it leads to the iconic, the very mocked, it's a very memed and somewhat mocked shot of like Yamcha. Basically, Yamcha took Krillin's turn for him because he was worried about Krillin. Like Krillin, you've already wished back by the Dragon Balls. Let me take this one for you.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, which is very nice, and sadly, Yamcha, he dies, but he dies heroically, though.
Yeah.
He saved Krillin, which is really nice.
Despite the mockery of his death, and that his death is received over the years, it's actually kind of sad in context.
I mean, look, it's kind of the beginning of the end for Yamcha, but it was a really good moment to give him though, and that he did had a good fight against this thing. He basically saved Krillin by kind of jumping on the grenade to an extent where whoever else would have gone up against the Cybermen would have been killed, which would have been Krillin possibly because it would have been a surprise attack that none of them saw coming. And Yamcha, that's the thing. Unfortunately, Yamcha's problem is that he is the it's kind of what Tien suffered from in a sense. Only Tien didn't really have a physical defeat as much as Yamcha did. Is that he would always get outmanned by everyone just getting more powerful around him. And where Yamcha started as someone who could go toe to toe with Goku, he just kept getting left in the dust. And it's just with the whole power scaling thing, we have to keep making everyone ridiculously strong, and we have to cut down on the amount of characters. Yamcha, he's going to be left in the dust, and this was like the most iconic way in which we did that. And then afterwards it's like, well, we aside from reviving Yamcha and taking him out of the battle a little bit, we really don't have much to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, when you have like all these characters with insanely like you have the Saiyans, you have Piccolo, among other things, even Krillin, among others, have them doing all these things. You kind of don't need him anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, but again, if you're going to give him like a moment to go out on, this is kind of it.
It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a shame considering like he was one of the early tenants of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like he was there almost from the beginning.
Yep. All right. So Krillin, he takes out the rest of the Cybermen, which it's a good moment for Krillin, but by the same token, it's like every time I watch, like, Krillin, we're stalling for Goku. You're hurting the stall plan.
Do you think he's stalling?
Yes, Jacob, I think he's stalling.
All right. All right. I think we've done that gag enough.
Okay, so we have Nappa versus everyone. This is brutal. Like, Nappa's like an uncontrollable bull, like trying to gore everyone. He is. It's brutal. It's terrifying. He chops Tien. He disarms Tien literally.
And so it won't grow back.
Yep. Unlike Piccolo, it didn't grow back.
Yep. So, and basically his. So yeah, things don't go very well for the rest of the Z fighters.
Poor Tien suffers the most here, man. Like he's the hand chopped off like Star Wars style, and then this was always the gut wrenching part of the Saiyans. Like Chiaotzu, he kamikazes himself to save Tien and
And
everybody. And I love that even Piccolo respects the heck out of Tien and Chiaotzu for this.
he made Gohan like, no, look, I want like basically not say like look at a
Like, don't
look
look away, Gohan. Like, honor is bravery.
like he's not doing it because like to force him to be like to try intentionally traumatize him, like honor his bravery.
Yeah.
which is a nice which is another nice way to show Piccolo's development.
Yeah.
He's not doing it. He's honestly kind of horrified that it's come to that point.
So,
and obviously it also establishes the stakes. Chiaotzu has already been wished back.
I know. Yeah, that was as a kid. I was always like, "Oh no, we've established the rules. No, not Chiaotzu."
And then he. But the worst part is, it did nothing.
It barely even scratched his armor.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I always thought I got him in on the rewatch. I was hoping that like that was like the thing. At least when Chiaotzu blew up, at least it took off because we know like the armor gets like destroyed and damaged a little bit. I was wondering at least that would renders us like the bare chested like Nappa's like no, not even that one. Oh god, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's basically pointing like Chiaotzu sacrificed himself for nothing.
So then Tien he gives it all. He does like I think the tri beam, just like one last tri beam or something. And he puts all into it. And poor Tien just like oh god, like we took everything from Tien, and then he gave his all, and he thinks he failed, and he died. And it's like I feel so horrible for him.
Like if he collapses, he collapses dead.
And that's the thing too. I mean, it's a brutal, memorable death, especially for our purposes, Jacob. You know, we've gone in such an arc with Tien. You know, we love Tien. You know, he had like he was the precursor to Piccolo with the arc.
Yeah.
And he went from the rival, and he was very much trying to be the next mercenary Tao, and he saw the error in his ways, and you know now he's come around to the side of angels, and he was a very brave, very strong fighter, and now just dead.
And then I know you brought this up earlier with Launch and like the brief scene where she's seen in the bar, but even though the dub doesn't explicitly state it, it's kind of subtly implied that's why.
Exactly, yeah, man. Which again, I've always liked to read it that way because I think that's very impactful. It's a great thing with her character. You know, it's like you know she's bummed out about Tien, who she cared about.
Which of course is not in the manga.
Nope, not remotely.
It's
again, Toriyama's just launch who. Like put that on the bumper sticker, like the meme, like launch who.
Which is at least good on Toei to include that at least.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like the last. I think aside from maybe one very blink and you miss a cameo, that's pretty much that's it for launch.
Which is kind of sad. The last time we see her, she's mourning Tien's death.
Now, mind you, there is a very slim chance. Again, I think I can't remember if like she pops up in like maybe the tail end of GT or not, but I don't know. That's the only time I can maybe think of her popping up.
I said that's a shame because, like I said, she's another one that's been there from almost the beginning.
Yep.
And
But we don't have time for sneezing shenanigans, I'm afraid. You know,
Toriyama just forgets she exists.
Yeah, they should have gone back, made it 300 episodes. Just give it add 10 launch episodes. That's what they should have done.
Added 7 extra episodes.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, give 7 launch episodes. Yeah,
because there's like I believe if I remember correctly.
No, you're right. I forgot. I rounded down. Yeah.
293 episodes.
Yeah, we need like 7 launch episodes. The 7 missing launch episodes. See, they gotta stop. See, Jacob. The problem is they gotta go the opposite of the Kai direction. We can't reduce.
Actually, you were closer than I was. It's 291, so you were closer.
Okay, fine. The point being, the 9 missing launch episodes. That's what we gotta do. We gotta go the opposite of Kai. We gotta add episodes. We gotta go for a nice big 300.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like if you combine Dragon Ball Z 291 episodes with Dragon Ball, that's over 400 episodes.
Yes, that's how math works. Yes.
I mean, you get what I'm saying.
I do. It's a big binge.
Keep in mind that if you watch it week to week, that would take like almost 7 years.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so
yeah.
Again, so Nappa's pretty much taken everyone out. It's very tragic. So the problem So Gohan, despite all the preparations and the training, and also we had a really nice, sincere moment with like Piccolo and Gohan by the fire that one night, where like Gohan, like Piccolo promises to protect Gohan, even though again he gets kind of mushy when the kid's not awake to really appreciate, which is really nice. That Piccolo is the very much he's the firm, tight-fisted teacher when Gohan's trying to get sentimental.
Even gives him the apple, but not knowing it's not telling Gohan it's from him.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is just really, really nice moment there. So the point being, Piccolo has grown a genuine fondness and pride. I love the bit where the Sideman like tries to attack Gohan and Piccolo like he saves him, but he's still like, hey, I shouldn't have to save you, kind of that kind of thing.
Yep.
But still, he's the gruff teacher who does really believe in Gohan. I love it's so again the arc on Piccolo here where despite all this training, Gohan is freezing in the battle, and Piccolo is he he's disappointed in Gohan, but not disappointed because of any weakness per se, because he knows Gohan has the strength, and he taught him everything he needs to know, but he's just upset because he believes in Gohan, and he knows he can do this. And it makes Piccolo feel like maybe he failed, and then just that he did something wrong here, maybe.
Yeah, so I can see where you're coming from on that one. Piccolo wants Gohan to he knows what Gohan's capable of now.
Yeah, he sincerely believes in. I love he's giving like the tough love here, like just go home, Gohan. You're no used to us here. He's being really harsh on the kid, and even Krillin's like taking up for him. Like, come on, we're throwing basically Krillin's like the audience here. We're throwing this kid into like a life and death kind of thing, and he's 4 years old for Christ's sake. Technically 5. He's like 5 years old now. You're throwing a 5-year-old
And
in his life and death.
at this point, do you think Piccolo's sending him home because he's disappointed, or partially also he doesn't want to see Gohan get killed?
I think it's both, honestly. I think it's a look. I've given him the tools to survive, but if he can't summon it, he will get killed. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm sending him home.
I think that's a good way of looking at it.
That's how I read it. Anyway, so then we have the big moment here where they're talking about Goku and everything, and Vegeta's overhearing this, and it's like, wait, who's Goku? That's Kakarot? And so Vegeta is intriguing. He's demanding Nappa. I love how he demands Nappa stop when he's about to charge. Like, Nappa, I said stop.
And he just freezes in midair.
God, which is just great. And it really just conveys like, oh God, the little one is the more powerful of the two. And he hasn't even fought yet. Like, we're so doomed. So Vegeta entertains this. He gives Kakarot 3 hours, which unfortunately still not enough. Again, because of that sweeper guy. It's all that sweeper guy's fault.
And I also kind of like the idea of he basically should like, your great hope is Kakarot.
Yep.
He mocks the idea like Kakarot's your great savior.
Yeah.
But respect to Vegeta for seeing Gohan's power.
Yep.
All right, go on then.
No, that's right.
All right.
Okay, so no luck. They go for the Hail Mary plan, which is they go for Nappa's tail, which doesn't work because Raditz.
They trained their tails basically like Goku did.
Raditz never did. Yeah, but Goku ultimately did, which again he was really progressive in that respect. So again, I love that in comparison though. It feels like now, mind we don't know this for certain. I would wager a guess that the way it worked is that Vegeta and Nappa they were more proactive and hands-on in the conquering of the planets. Raditz was probably more, he did it quick and sloppy, be my guess. So Raditz really didn't get like a workout. He knew his attacks. He knew like the bare minimum. He had a few signature attacks, but beyond that, he the double Sunday attack and everything. But beyond that, he was still a funny name for it. He could, he did the bare minimum. He didn't put work into the planet conquering thing because he coasted off like the bloodline. He bought into what Vegeta was selling, and that resulted in cockiness that got him killed.
Yep.
So that's also because of that. He probably never felt like he should even train his tail. The other ones did just in case something happened. Like
and even then, it's not like every planet they visit would know to grab for the tail, being their weakness.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so
but it does show prudence, show their preparation skills when they when Vegeta and Nappa actively anticipated that kind of thing that would happen.
Yeah. Also, Lucas Green says, well, also Nappa and Vegeta are like elite class Saiyans, so they would have more experience than for tail weakness. So that's
Yeah.
another thing too. Where again, Raditz was like a lower level. It wasn't like the lowest level, but he was a lower level Saiyan. So
And even then, he outclassed pretty much everyone.
yeah.
So
Okay, so Goku, it's a race against time. He finally gets revived and brought back via kind of brought to the land of living by Kami. He grabs like only two. I love it. It's just on the way down, he gets like two sensu beans from Koran Tower, and he's riding the Nimbus.
Nappa passes the time by destroying a navy.
Yeah, yeah. After he destroys, not the Navy. after the Navy, we have him. That's when we have the tail move, the Hail Mary tail move, and it just does not.
Yeah.
Doesn't go well. Like Piccolo gets this big bash on the head, and it's brutal.
Basically, that's showing that crap. Even they thought of everything.
Yep. So let's see. So Krillin almost kills Nappa, which is impressive. He has the awesome destruct. We have the first appearance of the destructive disc.
And he does pretty well.
Yeah.
But he deflects it and it carves a mountain in half.
Well, he doesn't deflect it. He basically, like he dodges it the last time
Oh, yeah.
but remember how awesome it was. Like Vegeta's like, Nappa, look out! It's like because he realized, oh my god, Nappa thinks he can just brush this off, but had he not, he would have been cut in half.
Unfortunately, he dodged.
Yeah, like my beautiful face.
He got out of the way, and then like I said, cut a mountain in half.
See, part of me feels like Bruce Campbell would have been a great Nappa, but
well, then again, then he would have been in a Dragon Ball Evolution, but
oh, anyway,
or maybe the voice of Nappa. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that works too.
Well, yeah, I meant the voice, but yeah,
that works too. I can definitely totally see that. Now you just need to imagine. Now you just need to imagine Nappa going groovy.
All right. So let's see. Okay, the point being, Krillin he comes close, but no cigar with taking out Nappa there. We set up the Namekians thing, the whole thing where basically they're Vegeta is sensing Kakarot on his way, and he says like the power level is like essentially 5,000, which even as a beginning, he's like, okay, this is bad. I don't want any more surprises, no more chances. Just take him out. What about the Dragon Balls? Like, look, we know he's Namekian. It stands the reason based again, Vegeta being smart enough to put the pieces together, which so rarely you have in anime, just in general in storytelling. Is like we usually have to spell things out where it's like he's put the pieces together. Okay, Namekian. If there's Namekian on this planet and he knows about the Dragon Balls, if we know where planet Namek is, which is like a known quantity, we can. They have Dragon Balls there too. So we say that. So Piccolo again, he learns that he's Namekian in this arc. But that's a retcon in itself. We're going to talk about that in the next one. And the whole thing with the points you mentioned, there are other Dragon Balls. So we have kind of our Doc sent a letter after being struck by lightning moment there.
Yeah.
Okay, so point being, Nappa is going to about to kill Gohan. He's got frozen in fear because how can you blame the kid?
Oh yeah.
Piccolo, big epic moment, like huge moment for the entire series, like one of the moments. Piccolo saves Gohan from a lethal attack by jumping in front of it.
Yeah, that is like the linchpin in Piccolo's development.
Oh yeah.
The old Piccolo never would have jumped in front of Gohan.
No.
This one though, he watched Gohan from afar, saw him grow, and basically grew into his humanity in a way.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, he got a lot of. I think he got a lot of internal closure from some. Again, the way he made it out to be is that he still would have tried to kill Goku in a more permanent way had he come back. At least that's what he said. I don't think he ever really meant it, but that's what he always said. But the fact is, he got the closure, the internal closure he was kind of looking for, in that he was able to kind of kill Goku, period. And that kind of maybe left, almost maybe like, I'm reading into this, but maybe it was kind of like a Megamind thing where it's like, kind of where do I go from here? And where he went from here is like, I kind of now have to be the hero that it's like I'm filling the hero role now that I've eliminated it.
Or in kind of
reluctantly.
In a different way, it's like without Batman, crime has no punchline.
Well, sure.
It's a different kind of thing, but
well, yeah. I mean, kind of the Megamind thing because it's more one to one. But I hear your point, though.
I know Megamind's more accurate.
Yeah.
I just think it kind of reminded me of that.
Oh, no, you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like, Megamind is reminiscent of the man who killed Batman, but I'm saying Megamind with the whole creating the. Anyway, yeah. So, anyway, what I was getting at is, so he's kind of, in killing Goku, kind of closed the loop on like that unresolved issue he had, and Gohan was ultimately his redemption for all the bad that he did, and it was like it's this beautiful, one of Chris Sabat's most beautiful performances. Where let's just say that man knows how to die. Let's say that. Let's give Chris Sabat that. That man dies more than a bad comedian, but in the best way possible. I mean, so they just the whole like you're the like apparently everyone's like always goes to stories like how they were all in tears when he did the record on this. Just like you're the only friend I ever had.
Aww.
He passed on his knowledge to him. It's all just very moving. And then of course the thing that breaks everyone's heart is Mr. Popo crying like Kami.
That is very sad.
And again, Sabat like doing like again he's dying as Piccolo, he's dying as Kami, and you have he's mourning his own death as Mr. Popo. There's so much Sabat going on here.
I mean, that's layers.
Yes. So now Gohan's very motivated. He's very ticked off, and he's I think he like kicks the crap out of Nappa, like he like kicks him into like a mountain or something. It's really really cool.
A lot of mountain kicking in this episode, as Lucas Green pointed out earlier.
Yep. Just throwing him in the mountains. All right, so Goku arrives finally, and he means business, and this is great. Like when Goku, like the happy-go-lucky, just shows up, and he's this is the first. Honestly, this is like the first time we've ever seen Goku this serious.
I mean, probably outside
in adulthood,
Yeah, in adulthood.
Like he shows up. Last time we saw him this ticked off was he was a kid going up against Piccolo Senior.
Oh yeah.
So he means business. He is he's ignoring Nappa at first, and then ultimately after he patches everybody up using the like kind of half of a sensu bean to Krillin and Gohan.
I mean, does that diminish their power at all?
Maybe it's a little bit, yeah. Like for example, like the minutes, it's like feed you for like 10 days, it's probably like 5 days. So it's probably like you're more. It's like half strength.
All right, which is what they need to get on their feet.
Yeah, that's a thing because I mean like Gohan's barely been really attacked, so it's good for him. And Krillin needed it. Krillin was like his body was pretty much he was like crippled practically.
Yep. And Goku, of course, sees all the people that were killed.
So he sees all this, and he's very. Of course, Piccolo. It's a whole can of worms. It's a big problem. Anyway, so then Goku he kind of puts the fear of God into Nappa with the whole. It's like is what Vegeta? What's his power level?
It's over 9,000.
Yes, the iconic line, which has been dubbed and redubbed, and
even though in the version I watch, it's like it's over 9,000.
Yeah, me too. I think that's the one I had too.
Although, from what I understand, like later redubs, like when Chris Sabat also did it for Kai, he did do it more like the Brian Drummond version.
Yeah,
he did do the 9,000.
You gotta give him points on that one. So the Brian Drummond one, I think, is the pioneer cut. So.
Which became so iconic that even Chris Sabat had to do it for Funimation.
Yeah, then you have like it's over 9,000.
Yep.
This Aisley gets so ticked off and he breaks the scouter, and it's just great.
It's like, and this is not even Goku at his strongest.
No. So he takes out and pretty much he's not breaking a sweat with Nappa, but he has to kind of move things along. Well, honestly, he was like the only reason. So he was conserving energy and just taking out Nappa, but then Nappa was like playing dirty pool and trying to kill Gohan and Krillin. So that's when he had to break out the Kaioken, which basically in one blow, like just one singular, it's barely even like a hit and catches him from his back. He cripples Nappa with ease. And it's thanks to that Kaioken finish and the Vegeta, they have this iconic Vegeta moment where he helps the broken Nappa, he smiles, throws him into the air,
then blasts him.
which is just insanely awesome and menacing.
Basically, it was, as you mentioned, it was established earlier with one of the Cybermen.
Yeah. Which basically, Vegeta has, Vegeta's only loyalty is the strength. That's essentially what we confirm there. And like he's even offering Goku Nappa's job.
I mean, at this point, Vegeta's only loyalty is Vegeta.
Well, yeah, Saiyan pride, no weakness at all. He will not abide weakness.
No.
All right.
Do you think if Nappa had survived, he could have potentially become a good guy?
Oh God, no. No, there's no way Nappa would have redeemed himself. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying if there's the possibility.
Raditz, that's a question. A lot of fans have always speculated with Raditz, though. I mean, my heart of hearts, no. I would like to think yes, but I really don't think he'd be able to.
I mean, he did threaten his nephew, technically.
That's the thing,
His 4-year-old nephew.
Yeah, so in my heart of hearts, I don't think Raditz would.
Or Nappa.
God no to Nappa, no.
All right. But it has happened with people we didn't think would change, so.
I do love that there was one bit in GT, and I really wish it still was a shame that we never really capitalized on if Vegeta were to reunite with Nappa, how would it go? We did that one time as a blink and you miss it moment in GT, but it's still,
Yeah. But so that eliminates one Saiyan threat.
Now it's down to one who hasn't even broken a sweat yet, so it's Vegeta. So we have so we have Goku versus Vegeta. We're in Act 3. This is
easily one of the most iconic fights in the entire franchise.
Not just one of the iconic fights, Jacob. This is the Dragon Ball Z fight. A lot of people would argue this, and I mean, I got to be one of them. It's the Dragon Ball Z fight.
I mean, it's tightly paced. It's action packed.
It's 5 episodes, which I mean, it's essentially 5. It's kind of it's the whole 4.5 because we start the fight and the end of one episode. The point is, it's 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Which essentially is kind of that's kind of the perfect groove you want to hit with. If you have a big fight like we've had in the past, the Tien fight was 5 episodes. Jackie Chan was 3, and then 5 is a solid number.
How many fights were the Piccolo fights?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Piccolo was 5 as well. So this fight goes on as long as the Piccolo. It was kind of the 4.5 to 5 episode mark. So that's essentially
Now was that Demon King Piccolo or Piccolo Jr.?
Well, I mean Piccolo Jr. So I'm saying that one was 5 and the 5 episode thing. Senior was not as long.
So 5 episodes seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah, 5 episodes is the sweet spot. Of course, next episode that's going to be more than 5 episodes, and that's going to be a whole.
Okay. You mean the next saga?
That's what our next episode, next saga. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's gonna be that's the long if I remember correctly, and I'll probably bring this up during that fight too. It is in terms of episodes, the longest fight in anime history.
Yeah. And then Lucas Green makes the great point. Join me, Kakarot. You're crazy. You just killed my partner. I just killed your partner.
Yeah, basically. It's
But yeah, Goku says, I've seen what not much of a retirement plan.
Yeah, I was I've seen what loyalty gets you, basically.
Pretty much. So Goku leads him out to an unpopulated area. He kind of sends Krillin and Gohan home just for safety's sake, which is it's a good enough plan. Goku thinks he has it in hand, which he kind of does.
Yep.
So
but of course Krillin and Gohan do follow along with secretly Yajirobe.
Importantly, Gohan Gohan making the choice on that one to save his father. That was a big moment for Gohan, you know?
And of course, Yajirobe's been tagging along with a mini adventure of his own.
Yeah, Yajirobe's filler thing was that he delayed getting to the battle because he was busy like soaking up all the glory and getting free meals by the press. Like he sent the camera crews and everything there. So
Yep.
yeah.
God.
All right. So Goku versus Vegeta. So the philosophies, which we kind of touched on, is the philosophies that Goku believes. They pretty much in the title image that we're seeing here. We have them again. We're not really. You can only do it so much service visually, unfortunately, folks, because it's a big battle. It's a lot of motion. It's kind of hard to kind of capture like the money shots. But let's just say, it's the two of them in the manga. It's pitch perfect. In the anime, it's also they captured very well. Where like Goku, like Vegeta being the shorter guy, he has like in the elitist, he's like on the higher rock, and Goku's on the lower rock. It's very nice, it's greatly staged dialogue, which is representative of what they're talking about. Where Goku's trying to get into Vegeta's head that hard work and training, led to the power that he has and the belief in self-improvement, basically everything Master Roshi kind of and humanity imparted into him. Again, nurture versus nature. Now, Vegeta, on the other hand, he believes in status and birthright as the X factor, which is why, like low-level Saiyans like Goku will never best him and everything. It's a foregone conclusion.
Being the prince of all Saiyans.
And basically, it was like the mentality of, like, why train when I know I'm the best?
Oh, yeah.
Complacency. It's arrogance and complacency and Saiyan pride. Which, again, for Vegeta, overall, long-term, we kind of tease it up here, both his greatest strength, but also his greatest weakness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, we see him develop a different kind of strength.
Yes. Is Bulma. But we'll get there.
Yes.
So, anyway, so the fight starts. They strike some epic poses, kind of like what we see here. They charge at each other. They're epically, blocking each other's blows. Then Goku uses the Kaioken. Now, the Kaioken, as we established, and the really cool, I love it's not just, we're not giving Goku a carefree power-up quite yet. The Kaioken is like the believable version, I guess, in a sense. It's kind of the believable version before we have kind of the, Super is before Super Saiyan enters the picture. It's the bridge to Super Saiyan, in a sense.
Huh.
It's basically Super Saiyan as a learned skill. It's kind of the imperfect prototype of the Super Saiyan, which was kind of a good idea. I felt like it differentiates itself enough from that. Like Goku's hair kind of goes a little up like the Super Saiyan, but he's all red and everything. Okay, the point being the fact that the Kaioken has a risk to the body in which it's basically you're summoning, like it's almost like the idea like summoning life force energy and stuff, which Yu Yu Hakusho gets into, but I know I'm using as an example the whole shonen Funimation kind of connect there. Essentially, the longer he remains, and actually the Kakarot game kind of gets into this as well, where if you use the Kaioken, it does take away some health points, which is kind of the idea. The Kaioken, you get extra strength, but it can hurt your body and potentially kill you.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I kind of figured that'd be like if that would work, kind of like a risk reward kind of thing.
Yeah, which is it was a really good idea. Goku is really pushing himself and pushing his body, which again is like the great like added layer to the fight, where it's not just like wanton, like he's getting stronger and stronger, he's getting stronger, but again, more risk to himself. So he goes Kaioken times 3, and then of course we have one of the most epic money shots in all of Dragon Ball, which is Vegeta so pissed off at Goku and that he keeps having to like break out like tricks that he's probably learned. I think the idea of Vegeta, he did train to get, like his father pushed him to train as a kid, so he did train at least at some point. Like he had to learn how to fight. Vegeta has, again, he's been so arrogant and stuck on the whole bloodline thing, the Saiyan pride. He's never really had to push himself, but he does have the skills necessary if he did have to push himself. But he's annoyed that he has to dust off the old tricks, which is what he's doing here.
Yep.
So Vegeta is so ticked off at Goku and everything that it represents in the whole Earth.
He's basically ticked off that he has to try for once.
And he doesn't have to worry about the Dragon Balls anymore, so he uses the Gallic gun, which is like like the Saiyan equivalent to the Kamehameha wave, and like a massive one, like the Super Kamehameha wave almost. He uses like the Gallic gun, and he is about to blow the whole planet to smithereens. So Goku, we have the first beam battle in Dragon Ball Z. This is a kind of a regular occurrence. We have two beams that are going up against each other, like and then we, with the Cell side, we're going to carry that on for a few episodes. We have the beam battle.
Oh yeah.
Regardless, Goku uses the Kamehameha wave coupled with Kaioken times 4,
which we get to hear King Kai basically like, no, don't do that, Goku.
I can't tell you how much as a kid I would, not just this moment, but in general, this is like the perfect example of it. I would, as a kid, you're playing with the action figures, and you're making like the whooshing energy sound, like, and you're like, no, it's like too much or something.
That's funny.
All all that.
Like, how many kids have tried to screaming themselves trying to go Super Saiyan?
Yeah. It's always the idea, like broken blood vessels and stuff. Kids probably had trying to, like, maybe if I scream loud enough, my hair will turn blonde.
Yeah, that's. Oh god.
Anyway, so like I said, Vegeta's so incensed by this, but again, Goku kind of blasts him into the sky a little bit there. The Kaioken wears off, Yajirobe shows up, like hits him on the back, and it's like, oh my god, it's like he hit a guy with sunburn. It's like, it's so like, oh god, the pain's so bad. So Goku is pretty much, he is like almost, he's on fumes at this point. He's running on fumes. And then Vegeta comes back, and Goku knows Vegeta's going to come back, and he goes, he's in trouble here. So Vegeta is so ticked off, he's using like the move that is designed to conquer planets as his last resort in battle, which just shows you how on his heels Vegeta is, which I think says something.
And he's not happy at all.
Yeah, he's just, again, it's the personal insult to his pride that he has to fight so desperately. So he sees there's no moon.
Before we do that, like, that does remind me of a comment I once saw in that clip from Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
Well, not Super, but Battle of Gods.
Yeah.
The my Bulma. One of the comments are like, two things you never insult: Vegeta's pride and Vegeta's bride.
True.
And this is an example of not insulting his pride. Obviously. But as you were saying.
Yeah, so point being, so Vegeta, he's looking for he's looking for the moon. There is no moon. So he uses the old Blutz wave move, which basically uses like an energy attack of some sort to basically make a makeshift moon, which basically gives off like the rays of the moon, even if there's no moon there. And then the Blutz waves, if you count GT, it kind of pays off big time there. But
Yeah.
All right, so so we manifest so basically Goku's on E, and basically we manifest the ego of Vegeta via the Blutz wave in the form of the Great Ape Vegeta.
Yeah, I will say that the Blutz waves is probably kind of a cheat.
Probably no, you're right. It is. Now, in hindsight,
yeah.
In hindsight, you could argue what we could have done. Now, mind you, I'm pretty sure this the Blutz wave is like from the manga, so we kind of have that's why it's there, and it's ultimately why we kept it. But if you really wanted to, a part of me thinks we could have used what we did in that filler thing with the Saiyan pod, where it projects the moon, but then the fight would have to be at night for that to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so Vegeta's the Blutz wave is a cheat, but it's again, it's less a cheat, more of a surprise, which is kind of Torian with the subversions. So honestly, this third act is filled with all sorts of surprises and like turns and like matchstick moments you don't see coming.
Yeah. So he's able to. So that's the thing. In the case of there not being a moon, they can turn themselves into the ape.
Yeah, I just love that. Again, it's just a great symbol of like Vegeta's ego is literalized into the giant ape. That can, again, like the idea that he's so used to it. He's because he's a high class Saiyan, and he's probably done this a lot of times where they use this form this to take over planets overnight. Just the fact that he's a cognizant ape too. It's not just like the someone who's turned into the ape for the first time, or like rare like Gohan or Goku have historically. It's like they've done it so frequently they've evolved in the ape form.
and and the fact that he now has to do it to fight off one man.
Yes, so so the big thing with Great Ape Vegeta is that it's we have the Goku has the heartbreaking realization that
Like,
he was the monster that killed Grandpa Gohan.
he's like, like, that means I'm the one who killed Grandpa. Yeah,
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
he doesn't really dwell on it too much, but he does kind of have that realization.
Yeah, I mean, so Lucas Green asked, I don't understand why his friends didn't tell Goku about the Ozaru transformation, but oh well. Well, I mean, look, Lucas, I'm going to agree with you to a point here. On one hand, again, obviously, you look at the Pilaf saga. Like they put two and two together that Goku killed his own grandpa. They didn't tell him because they knew it would kill him. They knew it would
But
break
but
it.
they could have told him as an adult.
Well, they haven't. The impression is they haven't seen him in 5 years since the end of Dragon Ball. That's why.
I mean, even like during the tournament. But I guess they had other pressing concerns.
Well, yeah, they did have other. That's what I'm saying. They have the term, and then he flies off. So there's not really any conversations, really moments like that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's still under the impression of even telling him as an adult. It's like why break the pork? He doesn't have a tail anymore, so it's a non-issue. That's why they didn't tell him. Like, well, it's not going to transform into it again. Had he been an adult with the tail, then they would have had to tell him.
Yeah, but then they could have said something when Gohan had the tail.
Well, they didn't meet Gohan until it. Okay, now you're making a good point there. Yeah. Then they got distracted with Raditz and everything though too. Plus, Goku said, like, "Well, we go to bed pretty early." You're right. In hindsight, they probably should have told him there. I won't argue with you there. You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
They should have told him there, but there wasn't going to be a lot of time. It would have been a lot to unload plot wise.
yeah, I know, and that's why Toriyama's the professional writer.
Exactly. Now, however, the big cheat that we've always had with that is in the first World Martial Arts Tournament, the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament.
Yeah.
Gohan, in Goku and Krillin were Krillin was like lending Goku his outfit and everything. He's mentioning like, how did you do that or something along those lines? Like, do what? So like that's when we should have spent that. That's a hard buy of like why. No one in that crowd, no one's like asking Goku, wait, why did you transform that giant ape?
Yeah, that is kind of a buy.
That's a buy. To me, that's more of the buy than like his friends not telling. His friends have a good reason for not telling. Why don't strangers bring it up? That's the real question.
Now, is that a Toriyama thing or is that an anime thing?
It feels like an anime thing, but the same would. It's the same question though. That just makes it more in focus. The anime. The question's like everyone saw it there though.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes sense for the story, I guess.
All right.
Actually, it really doesn't, but oh well.
All right. Okay, so point being, back to this though. So Goku is he's in big trouble. He uses the last of his energy to basically well, again, right now he's kind of just devastated. He kind of like lost the fight that's in him to a degree. He just feels terrible about having killed Grandpa Gohan. He's kind of knows he's on E, and he's just kind of this is really.
Hell, Grandpa Gohan could have actually told him.
Well, oh well. Remember though,
that was filler. I know.
Well.
I mean, actually, he could have told him in Baba.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, James. So, if we're gonna pull all the tail thread, look,
we don't have to go into details on this.
Look, with the Baba thing, okay, he pulled off the tail for the weakness and to prevent the ape form. So that's why he ripped off the tail.
Yeah, but he didn't say why.
Well, he conferred with Master Roshi, has he been transforming? Well, he won't do it anymore because they ripped off the tail. So, and the other time, too, Goku didn't have the tail, so it was a non-issue. That's why he didn't do it.
All right.
Anyway, the point being, Goku's devastated emotionally here, and he's doing really poorly in the fight now because again his body's he's pretty much running on E, and he kind of knows, and he's so it's such a desperate situation. Like he's kind of thinking to himself, like, well, forgive me, Grandpa Gohan. I'll probably if I don't win this fight, I'll be seeing you soon. Hopefully, you'll forgive me.
Oh.
Which is heartbreaking. And then Goku, these last of his energy, he blinds Vegeta in the one eye, which is a really cool visual. Unfortunately, it made him really mad, and he broke all the bones in Goku's body. So it's brutal. It's horrible.
Oh yeah.
Some of the worst pain we've ever seen Goku in, by the way.
And good screams from Sean Schemmel.
Yes, it's like that's what I'm saying. This is why it goes down in history as like the fight. It's like, oh my god, he's pretty much done. But thankfully, unlikely savior Yajirobe swoops in.
He cuts off Vegeta's tail.
A wonderful look of cowardice on his face.
He's basically, well, that's it. My job is done.
Runs off.
Yep.
Timing is perfect in the animation. Very gag manga, original Dragon Ball, and I love it.
Yep.
So we have that later on too. He kind of slashes Vegeta with in his back with the sword too, which is like Yajirobe. He helped out when it counted. He was there when it counted.
I mean, arguably, slicing off the tail was the most important thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like so without that, he probably wouldn't have beat Vegeta.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. But even then, like now, even again, Vegeta. The idea is like Vegeta just won't go down. He's driven by pride and he's unstoppable even after all like these these matchstick modes. Like he's seemingly defeated, but then he comes back. He's out of the ape form, but he's still kicking the crap out of poor Goku with all the broken bones.
And then we get another unlikely savior.
Yeah, we got Krillin and Gohan showing up.
Oh yeah.
They lend an assist, and Goku he has the spirit bomb at the ready, and he hands it over to the Krillin. This is a really nice. This is a big win for Krillin here. Krillin is given like the most powerful weapon, most powerful technique Goku's ever learned,
and all the energy from everyone in the world, every living thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, he didn't really do like that. I don't know if he went global with it. He just kind of used the speed. He used it from like later, like that. Do you remember him making the plea to everyone? Because I don't think he did that yet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, you're right though. This is the point. This is the most basic spirit bomb. He's using life energy. Then later on, he asks everyone for energy.
Yeah,
that's how you make the big spirit. He hasn't made the big spirit bomb yet. This is the smallest spirit bomb we ever saw. This spirit bomb is really designed just that targets the evil in a person's heart.
And I know the spirit bomb is later used with Boo. So.
Oh yeah.
In a much grander way.
We used the spirit bomb a couple times.
Yeah, but I just remember the other one being Boo.
Yeah. Anyway, so he hands Krillin the spirit bomb. They throw it at Vegeta, and then Vegeta like he avoids it, but then Gohan, because he's pure of heart, he bounces it right back, and it actually hits Vegeta, and seemingly, okay, story over, we won, and then Vegeta's still around. He's weaker, but he's still around.
It's like, oh no.
So Gohan is on top of Goku, and just miraculously, his tail had, in the time since the last few months, his tail's grown back, and the Bloodwave's still out. So he transforms, and not for long, but he's wreaking havoc. He's about to trample Vegeta. Vegeta steals. This is the worst thing Vegeta does. He steals Krillin's technique.
The solar flare.
Well, no. Destructo disc.
Destructo disc, yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, Goku, he borrowed Tien's like solar flare. Like they always borrow and steal techniques, but still, the fact that Vegeta did it, man, he's better than that.
Yeah.
So he uses the destructive disc and he cuts off Gohan's tail. And this is great, though. The biggest strength, the biggest symbol of the Saiyans was Vegeta's undoing. Like he was crushed a little bit. Like basically Gohan fell mid-transformation onto Vegeta, and that's what took him out. It's very appropriate. The Saiyan hubris,
It's like he's talking about how great it is, like the source of their power, but he's forced to cut it off to save his life.
Yeah.
And then on the ground is Vegeta on the ground underneath a naked Gohan.
Yeah. All right, so Lucas Green says, well, a lot of people say Goku beat Vegeta, but it really felt like a team effort with Krillin, Yajirobe, and Gohan. I mean, look, you're not wrong, Lucas Green. By the same token, though, it's kind of a thing of like, again, the symbols of kind of Earth really beat Vegeta, which is basically what Goku was representing. So it was kind of a team effort, but yeah, it was a team that was in service of everything Goku represented.
Yeah.
You know, but you're right though. There's like a degree of like Goku and Vegeta. We can never real. If you ever look at the fights between Goku and Vegeta, we never have a clear cut winner until one time. But even then, it's kind of a post credit gag, so it doesn't really, you know. The point being, you never really have a clear cut winner, and it's kind of like the whole like Hulk versus Wolverine or Batman versus Superman. You never really have a clear cut winner, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so basically, it also just again shows how strong Vegeta is. It took the combined efforts of all those people to take him down and not even kill him.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. But Krillin, he could have. He wanted he grabbed Yajirobe's sword and he wanted to kill Vegeta, and he was about to. And again, he would have every right to because he killed all of his friends and loved ones, and he absolutely would have earned it. But Goku, he pleaded Krillin not to kill Vegeta, and for kind of a selfish reason to a degree, he just wanted to fight him again. But also, I think he argued, it could be like a Piccolo thing where maybe we spare him. Maybe there's some good in him. Yeah,
Well,
maybe we could turn him.
the thing is, like in the version I watched, it's more like it is the night being make him nice potentially.
Yeah.
But like apparently in like the redub and in the original Japanese version, it is because he wants to fight him again.
Yeah.
So
it's a little bit of both. It's kind of
yeah, and ultimately, Goku is proven correct.
I mean, it is the Piccolo argument. It is, we're going to start with like the most evil thing we've ever seen. To he could be a good guy. He could be a family man even.
Oh yeah, technically he wasn't incorrect there.
Yeah. So Vegeta swears he'll come back, and he kind of goes off in the pod. So then we have our aftermath here. So just to kind of round things out a little bit, here's a little tease of what's to come. So the Kame House gang, they find Goku, Gohan, Krillin, and everyone else on the battlefield. Cheech just hops over Goku, couldn't care less about him. Sees her baby boy.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, man. It really hit me in the feels seeing like Master Roshi and Bulma like checking in on Goku. Just something really like again it just really hit me on the rewatch that again it's the old gang, it's the old show just kind of coming back, and just was the reminder that Saiyan Saga was very much this is like Dragon Ball all grown up now.
Like yeah, like Bulma was once the co-lead of the story.
Yeah.
It's like remember back. I keep saying this, but remember back when this was just a simple story about a boy from the mountains who went on a journey to find mystical orbs with a bratty teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
Look how far it's come now.
Oh yeah.
It's almost unrecognizable, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, some of the same core concepts are there, but it's come a long way.
All right, so Chi-Chi's very ticked off at Goku, despite him like literally going to hell and back.
Literally.
I know, literally to.
And she's like they could have destroyed the planet for all I cared. It's like you do realize that would also have resulted in Gohan getting killed, right?
So this is kind of the beginning of when Chi-Chi starts to waver, just little bit.
Where she starts to become more and more unreasonable.
Yeah. I mean, Chi-Chi kind of evens out over time, but the beginning, yeah, this was kind of like again. I think the best Chi-Chi ever we got was like kind of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. I always felt like that was like the newlywed era Chi-Chi, or like kind of like the single newlywed era Chi-Chi was like the kind of the best we got. And then look, I like the mom Chi-Chi, obviously she's great, but
yeah.
Until honestly, we get a lot of comedy from Chi-Chi, but sometimes can be overbearing. Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Still most feared woman in the universe, but
most powerful woman in the universe.
That too.
Like think about it. As I always point out, Goku is the most powerful being in the universe. There's no one he fears except his wife.
Yes. So beyond that, we start with the other most one of the other most valuable women in the Dragon Ball universe. We have Bulma. So Bulma, she she's going to be the key to saving the day here because we set up the search for Namek, where Krillin mentions, okay, well, there's Piccolo's home planet. There might be more Dragon Balls there, but to get the Namek, given the coordinates that they have,
It would take 4,000 years.
so they need a spaceship. But thankfully, they have to say, at least as far as this part in our story, folks. Krillin has the remote for Nappa's pod.
Yep, and they're going to use that to drastically decrease the amount of time it would take to get to Namek.
Yes. So seemingly we have our answers, and that's kind of like our the doc's alive, but he's in the old west moment. That's kind of what we end the Saiyan saga on.
Yep, and brief moment. It's like when she tries to summon the ship. On it's being like broadcast on TV.
Well, that's the next one, Jacob. But if you want to mention,
I know. We can. It's just I just watched the episode earlier, and it's just still fresh in my head. Like she's like trying to like show how smart she is. Like the ship's being summoned on being shown on live TV. She hits a couple of buttons, and it self destructs.
Not good.
No.
So they're yeah.
And Goku's all bandaged up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Which Korin promises to grow some more senzu beans.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, the point being, that's kind of where we leave things off, where we're on the road to recovery, and there is hope.
Yep.
All right.
Dragon, it took us 3 hours to talk about the Saiyan saga.
Well, we got we reminisced.
Yep. So this doesn't bode well for the next one, does it?
Maybe there might not be as much to discuss. This was an important one, though.
Yeah.
The next one,
I know it's definitely going to take longer to watch.
Yeah, that one's going to take longer to watch more than it's going to talk about. But at least Lucas Green didn't get bored, so
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, this saga does kind of introduce a new status quo into the series, so
yeah,
which makes sense. It makes sense.
Yep.
All right, so I guess I can give my closing thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I think this is familiar to me, but obviously now with the added addition of all the fillers. And I still say this holds up pretty well. Like the fight against Vegeta is still epic. Like basically, you get to see these characters grow. Like especially like Piccolo going from like this stern, aloof alien, technically, who basically kidnapped a child and forced him to trade against his will, to literally sacrificing himself so the child would live. It's definitely one of the cornerstones of this manga, of this story. This is the story where Dragon Ball, as we knew it before, changes forever. And I gotta say, it still has traces of the original Dragon Ball there, and I can appreciate it for that. So I had a good time with this one.
Yeah, again, I got a lot of nostalgia. I got a lot of reverence for the Saiyan saga. It was like the first kind of like it was the hurdle to get over with Dragon Ball Z for me. It was like the whole when I gave it a chance, I really liked it. But I think it really helped that it was it is different from Dragon Ball, but it still has like a lot of the core elements of Dragon Ball that I really liked, and just kind of seeing that it's basically it's kind of like it's the next phase of the journey. It's kind of like it's kind of an equivalent to like a Batman Beyond kind of a thing for for the original. It was kind of like I know I keep using the Batman Beyond comparison. That's just kind of my whole Batman Dragon Ball correlation thing, thanks to the Toonami I kind of have. So I got it's very important. It's very it's the rock that the church was built on. It's without the Saiyan saga, we do not go as far without this going over as well. as it did. We don't have Dragon Ball just kind of taking over the world and even coming stateside the way that it did. It was just because it was a pure story. It actually had, I don't know how well we served it in our conversation, but we again, it was Toriyama getting bold with the storytelling. We had like just kind of our fun adventure show that kind of got bolder with the themes and kind of the story components. And then, Z was like taking it to the next level and kind of a more global again, it was basically the Saiyan Saga is like the ultimate event of Dragon Ball in terms of an evolution, because we had the World Martial Arts Tournament.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
Ugh. Yes. Jacob, yes.
Hey, you're the one who said it, Dragon.
I know I was going somewhere, and now I'm thinking of that. So thank you.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, my point being,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying is like we always had the World Martial Arts tournaments, which were always like kind of the built-in event with Dragon Ball, and with the Z, we've taken it to kind of a higher form. We've kind of gone. It's kind of like the way to Super Saiyan to a degree. It's kind of like it's like an event that it was like this global event of like, okay, if everything we're used to in the Dragon Ball universe was taken to kind of like an end all be all event that was outside the parameters of a tournament, like what would that look like? And they did it. They succeeded. This is like something that you're hooked on. You want to know what's going to happen. You're rooting for the good guys to beat the bad guys, and just knowing this is like the beginning. This is like the Aang versus Zuko, and we know it's going to go so further and so farther, and you're going to care about both of these characters, and there's going to be a team up at some point. The Goku and Vegeta of it all, it's going to it's going to pay off. It's going to go so many places. It's just again, it's good to know where you come from on a lot of this, and Dragon Ball it's kind of been the operative theme of what we've been doing here, and between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I just feel that we're good. It's important to see kind of the cornerstones of good storytelling. I can only hope that that really maintained itself throughout the other sagas. But even if they don't, then we still got the Saiyan saga, man. That's what carved into the mountain, baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And as you brought up like good guys beating the bad guys, it's kind of funny that this arc actually had bad guys becoming good guys.
That too.
And introduced a bad guy that would become a good guy.
Yeah, it's like the progression, the shades of gray. It's always about transition in Dragon Ball. It's always about like it's learning, it's learning from defeat and just kind of growing personally through self improvement.
Yep, always try to be the better version of yourself.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that does it for this dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Did we happen like? Did you find any Dragon Balls out there, or are they still like off for the year? Since we after all we used the wish last time to get this, so the question is like Dragon, did we find one of the Dragon Balls, or are they inert?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I don't know, Dragon. I didn't find anything personally.
Oh, wait a minute, Jacob. What's that on your hat?
Wait a minute. It's a little orange orb with a single star on it.
Jacob, I'm just gonna wager a guess here. Do you think that might be a Dragon Ball?
I don't know. I'm gonna venture a guess, maybe.
Okay.
So, but who knows what the wish will be for this time. So, I think that does it for this week. So, after a hard-fought battle, Goku and his friends managed to defeat the Saiyan threat, but at a tremendous cost. With no other options, a ragtag team is assembled to fly to the planet Namek, home to Piccolo's kind and the Namekian Dragon Balls. However, on this new planet, there's a threat even greater than Vegeta. Frieza. Next time on Journey into Dragon Ball Z.